Welcome. You are now tuned in to the Aaron O Show, Tuesday edition, which is a day I normally do not stream, but because I know I'm probably not going to stream because I'm pretty busy throughout the rest of the week, I said, you know what? Let me just make sure I put a show together, put a conversation together, just to sit back and relax, have a good time. And go from there because I saw some things came across my feed and I wanted to discuss it, and that's what we shall do. So, welcome to another edition of the Aaron O Show. And as always, we want to highlight the people that support the show. Last show I did, it was a last minute show. It was more like because I'm starting to really like kind of enjoy ranting a little bit in a controlled way, right? Not ranting where I'm screaming and yelling, but a controlled rant, right? And it may not be necessarily need to be called a rant. It can be more of a diatribe, but I'm starting to enjoy that a little bit more when I just talk by myself, right? And I go into my thoughts, experiences, things that happen in my real life that don't necessarily implicate anybody else, because that's always what I'm trying to avoid, implicating anybody else from coming into this digital world. It's not their request to be here. And so I'm conscious of that. And so a lot of the stories I tell, I have to structure them a certain way to, avoid other people from getting involved. Because y'all know this YouTube stuff can be very messy. Y'all know it. And even though I'm prepared for the mess, right? Even though I can handle anything everybody else didn't ask for. If you get hit with a ricochet, it ain't my fault, but I will not intentionally involve you in it, right? So last show, I kind of spoke to, if you guys missed my last show, that's on you. I don't expect people to necessarily like that type of show. It's not normal formatting for me. So I'm toying around with restructuring my formats just a little bit as I try to figure out what people enjoy and what they don't enjoy, and giving them different type of shows, more solo shows with me, and and then shows that we all enjoy. Just tweaking it and trying to figure it out. But last show I talked about my unfortunate sneaker consumption addiction. Maybe it could be considered that, and how it affected me mentally. Audrey, what are you talking about? The body count talk? No, Audrey, we wasn't talking about body count. Um, Although if you want to, we could talk about it, but I'm not gonna bother you about your body count. But no, it wasn't about that. It was just about my experience with having money for the first time, coming out, my coming out the projects basically, right? Being a welfare baby, all that good stuff. I remember when the food stamps was the actual coupon, the actual, you rip that coupon book open and it had the numbers in there. See, I was alive for that. Now they got the card and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different, right? And I kind of spoke to that, and then how getting a little bit of money, which is like insane amount of money when you have none, and how you just dive into it's not similar to how lottery winners lose their money, because the way they lose their money is just different. I ain't lose no $10 million. I didn't lose no $10 million, but you are really bad with money when you come from a background you know nothing about it. And Black culture is, unfortunately, I'm gonna be honest, most of it is victim culture, manipulated culture, whatever you want to call it, bad spending culture, popular culture, and you just learn a lot of bad habits growing up. We are rarely taught any good habits, and when they are good habits, they aren't necessarily considered Black culture, right? It is what it is, right? Hey, Robbie. And so I talked about how that experience pushed me in a lot of ways. It taught me a lot about myself, and I was able to break my own habits. Okay, I'm really fortunate that I'm very self-aware, and I learned to break my own habits, right? I'll say I'm eating something too much, and then I'll just stop eating it for 6 months, right? I'm one of those type of people, weirdo, whatever you want to call it, right? And so I talked about how being a consumer of those items affected my discipline and other aspects of my life as you lean towards money management and investing and things like that. So that's what the last show was about, and I thought that show was fun. It wasn't extremely long, but when I originally started doing these shows, the my length was 3 hours and 30 minutes. But I used to do 2 hours and like 30-minute shows until I found the sweet spot. And I realized you guys really like long form content because you guys like the conversations. A lot of you guys are on the road, you're on the move, and it's something to help you get through your day and also keep you engaged, sometimes entertained. And so I'm always tweaking with that. Right now, I'll tell y'all a secret. I am working on a new structure for Fight Club, right? It's going to be something completely different, but I haven't exactly perfected it yet. And so I'm not a perfectionist, so I'm fine with running beta and all that kind of stuff. But the problem is I only have the front end aspect of it. And so as I'm building it out, I'm gonna talk to some people on my team. I'm gonna talk to Cheeky, Sway, all that. And I'm gonna get their insight, their thoughts as I present this idea and see what perspectives they have and say, you know what, maybe we should try this, maybe we shouldn't tweak it, maybe, you don't want to mess up good things and things like that. But I'm constantly have things on my mind that I think are uh, pretty cool. So we might be seeing that. So that's just something to put on your radar. But today we're going to talk about something else. Today we're going to talk about something else. And no, 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 it will be no trouble. Okay. But first, as always, we have to acknowledge the sponsor of the last show. All right. In the last show, it was Miss Azanika Hayes. Okay. She was there supporting. I think she enjoyed the different type of style show that is not going to be supported that much. I know you guys are not going to support those type of shows that much. So that's why when I start talking more about stock market investing and things like that, well, what I'm planning to do, I'm going to segregate a group of people that want to be there so that the time and effort that I'm going to put into it is valued, right? Because I'm already burning myself out. You guys know that I'm already burning myself out doing all these other streams and things like that. So the last thing I want to do is to talk about things that I really enjoy and not have it be appreciated in the sense of uh the support that we give other things. And so if I'm going to expense my energy and time to doing it, if I'm going to expose certain things, I'm definitely going to segregate a group that is specific for. So I'm working on building that out now. It's taking me some time because, as you guys know, I have a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I will figure that out. So that's my motive. That's my goal. And it will get done because I said it will get done. All right. And a lot of people have been asking me about it. And so it's going to be done. But that's what's preoccupying a lot of my time. I'm still working on Fight Club. I'm tweaking things there. I'm looking at a restructure of things because, I like to be like, I don't want to cause any trouble, but I like to do just different things. And so that's a lot of stuff that I'm working on. But shout out to Azanika for supporting the last show, which was less about chaos and back and forth, this, that. It was more about mindset, how you are impacted by things in your environment that you don't know. And it was fun. It was short, fun, to the point, boom. And I will find ways to structure those shows as well. So shout out to you for being the supporter of the last show. Okay. Shout out to Granville. He says, why are all these upstanding women over here watching Aaron? I thought y'all was tired and done with us outrageous men. This make no sense. I'm gonna be honest with you, Dick. These ladies don't have no problem with me. Yeah, these ladies love me. You know why? because I don't tend to be disrespectful to women. So even though they don't like that I say things that hurt their feelings, I don't say it in a disrespectful way. I just say the truth, and I'll let you speak as you guys realize. Because I took a trip. I took a trip to another show. Yes, I did. I took a trip to another show. Let me make sure. There we go. Uh Brownville is officially the sponsor of the show. But Granny, you and Aaron not the same. Okay, see through you talking to you, not me. Okay, gotcha. But I had a show in which uh I was reviewing some content about some other content creators that I like. It is what it is. And BTaylor happened to pop up on my stream. Shout out to BTaylor. And she was really, really nice to me. And she was very, very pleasant. She's not necessarily agreeable, which she don't have to be. We're allowed to have differences of opinion. And while I was running my stream the other day, um, that one guy, what's his name? God dang. Yeah. Simp God. Y'all know him as the Simp God. He said, Aaron, you scared to pull up on BTaylor and her panel. You scared to debate them. I said, huh? Moi? Me scared? Hmm. Hmm. Me scared? Oh no. Oh no. Not I. I have never scared to debate and have I'm a conversationalist, right? I'm a conversationalist, okay? And I'm gonna be honest with you. I prefer conversations. And so that guy was running up and down my chat saying that. And I said, you know what? When I'm done with my stream, I'll pull up. Okay. I will. I have no problem with that. Even though it wasn't my plan, I've never been over there. But I said I would, right? So I went over to Q's stream for a minute because I want to check them out. And I was going to go on Q stream, but because I had already agreed to go on BTaylor's stream, I had to be a man of my word, which, as you guys know, I'm consistently that. And so because of that, I said, oh yeah, we gonna pull up on Miss BTaylor and see what's going on. And I, lucky me, was very, very blessed to see that my girl Raw B was there. So I felt right at home. Now I will be honest with you. I will be honest with you. Uh, I'll give you my initial thoughts of the experience when I pulled up. Let me just tell you, because let me tell you what I did. Shout out to Raw B. She says, Aaron O is one of the upstanding men in space. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. I will try to consistently uphold those so that I don't disappoint anybody. Okay. It's my goal to make sure I represent people the right way, even when it's difficult. And as you know, I have very difficult streams, but I will always, always stay true to myself and never get out of my lane. I know my lane, I stay in my lane, okay? Because I do it in real life. So it's not that hard to bring what I do in real life to over here. So I definitely appreciate you. Thank you, Raw B, for stepping on Granville and being the sponsor of the show, right? Because Granville been wilding late. He been in the pool, swimming with a bunch of women and all that. I don't know what he got going on, but ever since Anton had that talk with him, it's like he a new man. So whatever it is that you're doing, Granville, stick to it, brother. Whatever you got going on in the pool, you had a bunch of chickies in the pool and all that. Now I don't know what city you in, but make sure you do your research before you engage in any such activities, okay? Let me see. Nadish said, he said, how'd you get that? Nadish said, how'd you get that night emoji? Oh, I have been searching my butt off to get this type of background, right? Working very, very hard, right? And I seen it and I was trying to find a way that I can upload and all that, and it was difficult and I couldn't do it. I had this image for a while, but I couldn't find a way to bypass certain things to get it. And I was able to finally do it. So it is what it is. It took a lot of searching to find this image. And I have a few of them that I use. But shout out to Nightish. But it was just some research, really looking for the right images and things like that. It took a long time. Probably took a couple weeks to find it. Shout out to Quentin. He says, I'm more upstanding than Aaron. No doubt. No doubt. And to support that, moderators, please put Quentin in timeout consecutively for the disrespect. Thank you very much. And you can be upstanding in silence, my friend. Thank you very much for supporting the show. Duly noted, Mr. Oklahomian. But so once I ended my stream, I said, let me pull up. Hey, Lauren. She said, are you feeling better? Yes, I just put a steroid in my eye. So my eye is healing. And it's what is it called? The inflammation under my eye is obviously pretty much healed for the most part. I just have to continue to basically put this eye drop in my eye for the next few days, and then I should be good to go. And if not, I'll have to go back and consult with my doctor, and all this money that we paid him to insure us and all that will be utilized because we didn't have no insurance in the hood, but now we got it. So shout out to moms. Appreciate the basement, moms. We moving on up. But I pulled up to the stream and I didn't immediately go up because one, this is just etiquette that Raw B taught me, right? Because it's Raw B fault. She helped kind of crafts a lot of the way that I act because she enlightened me to what it is to be on YouTube. And she doesn't realize, she thought I was joking, but I genuinely meant it, that I didn't see myself as like a content creator, this, that. I'm just a guy that like to have a conversation, try to make people think and things like that. So she brought it to my attention, and I'm one of those people that listen, especially to much smarter people than myself. And now I try to operate as so. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to operate as so, right? So one thing she taught me is, even though she don't do it, depending on which platform she on, she said, don't pull up the nobody panel and not knowing what they talking about, right? Trigger might end up doing that, but he's Nigerian and he's rich, so he can do that. I'm just a poor brother from the hood, so I got to know my place. And so I'm sitting back and I'm listening and I'm watching and I'm like, and let me see here, because I'm not. Don't worry, guys. I'm not going to review the stream. Don't worry. I'm just talking about my brief experience with it. But I pulled up on the stream. All right, and let me just tell you, on the stream, I have the lovely Raw B, BTaylor, Kelly, J Prince for president. Taz is up there. Dark Lake King of the Universe is up there. Simp God, and there's another lady I'm unfamiliar with. Her name is Christo or something of that nature. And they were on the stream, and myself, I didn't say a word because one, I had no idea what they was talking about. But I saw some of my people was in the chat because my stream had just finished. And, I said, pull up. I have no problem pulling up. Pull up on you. I have no problem, right? So I'm sitting back and I'm listening and I'm hearing it's I ain't gonna lie, it was a little bit ratchet. It's a little bit ratchet. It's a little bit ratchet. A little bit ratchet, but that's okay. We good with the ratchet. You know what I'm saying? We come from that. We come from that. Ratchet ain't no problem, okay? I don't mind a little bit of ratchetness. My guy Gilded Quan out there where he at in Baltimore, that's nothing but ratchetness. So you know how that go. And I was listening, and Jay Prince was going off because he was being, demonstrative as normal, but he was saying some things that made some sense. Now, unfortunately, Jay Prince is one of those type of guys that every once in a while he gonna say something that's on point, and then he gonna step on his own point. That's just what he do, right? And because he needs to get his thoughts out because he'll forget them. See, me, I come to every stream, right, with a pen. Well, I got multiple pens, right, and paper. So while I'm listening, I will write out what I need to say to remember so I can allow. Go ahead and speak, and I'll write down, okay, touch on this, especially if I'm on somebody else's stream, right? So shout out Peter the investor. I see you, bro. And so Miss Little Ratchet up there, but I got invited to the cookout. Black car still certified, official, you know what I'm saying? And so I pull up and I'm quiet. I'm trying to, I'm trying to engage with the chat a little bit, but I'm trying to be respectful of the host. So I want to make sure that uh, I add to the stream and not take away from you. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to take lead or bone rush anybody's stream, but I want to make sure I'm adding fun to it, adding some, some good aspects to somebody's stream, right? Because if not, why are you up there, right? And as I'm listening, Jay Prince is talking some talk, and then he step on his own point. And I'm like, okay, Jay Prince, stop. He like, no, go ahead. And I'm like, oh, you about to step on that point. He brought up a good point. I help support his point uh, because I'm probably much better at submitting a concrete point. And then there were some other points that were brought up, and it was pretty actually fun stream. So shout out to BTaylor. She was very, very nice to me. She was very inviting. She was supportive in the sense of she was making sure that she opened up space for me because she probably has watched some of my content, and she probably realized I'm not about to be yelling and screaming over a lot of these ghetto hood burgers. Okay, I'm just not gonna do it. And so, as I'm enjoying that time over there, I might have to go back over to the show. I don't know. I might have to go back over to her show, depending on what the show is about. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be honest with you. When she came on my show, somehow, some way, y'all know how colorism keeps getting brought up. Not every stream. I think I've survived a few streams without it, which is rare. And they was very, very sensitive about that colorism stuff. But the name of her show was, and I quote, here you can see it right here. Give me 1 second. I'll put it on the main screen. Bandits need to stay away from successful women. Now, some people might view that as that's a little disrespectful right there. But see, the thing about BTaylor is she is with the ratchetness. She is with the smoke. She talk all, kind, but she with the ratchetness and she with the smoke. She like these back and forth arguments. It gives her a rush. And if she tell y'all any different, she'll lie. If she tell y'all any different, she'll lie. Because one thing that I do is what I specialize in, right? I read people. It's what I do. And I sit back and I survey the room so I know where I'm at. I need to know who I'm dealing with, where I'm at, because you must always know your lane. Always be hyper aware, right? And things was going on. Jay Prince a little ratchet, that's normal. And she actually like it. I'm looking at her like, what? Okay, she a little ratchet with a little education. So, but she's cool. She mad cool. She was being chill. And the panel was really dope, had a bunch of good people up there. And so I kind of learned a little bit about it. Now that I know that she really, really likes me and she's pretty fond of me, I might have to return more. Because at first I didn't know if she really liked me or not. I was unsure. I was like, man, does she like me or not? But I went to the back and she pulled me immediately up. She didn't say no, she didn't say no bad remarks and nothing like that. She said, let's see what it is. So, and everybody know if I pull up, it's going to be a little bit of pressure. It's going to be a little bit of pressure because I'm going to put pressure on you. Unfortunately, I didn't come for the beginning of the show. But if I had came from the beginning of the show, oh Lord, yes, it would have been a different thing. I'll get an invite next time. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm one of the very few people that actually get invited to people's shows, which I'm fine with because I don't have a lot of time anyway. I don't. So I don't mind. So I just rock with the people that rock with me, and I support them as much as I can, as they often support me. So it kind of works out. And so I'll be going on somebody else's stream, hopefully soon. I think it'll be coming up soon. We'll talk about that shortly, probably in the next few days. But I had a good experience at BTaylor TV. Now, some of you saw what was going on up there. Some of y'all was in the chat, and y'all saw how it went down. It gave me a few insights, some points that I know that they may be coming with in the future. So I know how to deal with those accordingly. And also, if we debate, we got to be careful who we have on our debate team. We got to make sure we have controlled people because we can't have people make good points and step on their own points. We can't have it. We can't have you have a great setup and then you get to the rim, lay the ball up, and you totally missed a layup. Okay, we can't have you do no crossover like Kyrie Irving, get to the Figaro and miss everything. Okay, and some of that was going on. My guy DDG was brought up, and people don't know, but I am a big, big fan of DDG, right? And I don't mind saying fan, right? A lot of other people get worked up about that. I think the man is brilliant. Uh, I like his work. I can't say I studied him as far as what he's done on YouTube, but I've watched his progression. I've watched how he's applied his thought process and how he's executed in a lot of areas of life at such a young age. So I am a big DDG fan. My little brother put me on to him, and ever since then, I've been really, really a staunch supporter of his. So anytime they disrespect DDG, I get a little offended. And it's hard to offend me, by the way. But if you disrespect the DDG, it's going to be up. It's going to be up. All right. What up, Nas? So that was just my brief experience there. I'm not going to review the video or anything like that because I wasn't there that long. And I haven't had time to research it and review it. But if you guys want to see the video, I will drop the link to BTaylor's channel. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up her channel so you guys can definitely subscribe to BTaylor TV. You see here. I'm going to drop her here. Yeah. Okay. There we go. There we go. So in the chat, I'm going to drop BTaylor's YouTube channel for you guys to subscribe and support if you want to. It's up to you. But I definitely subscribe. And also, you can watch the video there if you like. And you can just see who did their thing and who was struggling. All right. Nomad, what up? And so that was my brief experience there on the BTaylor show. So I must say overall, very positive, very ratchet from time to time, which I feel right at home with that type of thing. And so I will definitely most likely go back if Raw B is there. If Raw B is not there, I'm not going to lie. I don't really want to be there because I go there because Raw B is there. It just so happened it was BTaylor's stream. But, once I saw, Raw B was up there, I said, I'm going to pull up. But if not, it's like a tied product. If she's there, it's a good chance I might pull up there. If she's not, I might just sit in the clouds unless you say something mad crazy. And then you got to force me on the panel, right? Which is very hard to do. Most people don't know. Look, let me tell you about something I do, right? People will say something insane, right? And I'll start typing, and then I'll be like, delete that. But I say something crazy while I'm typing, like, ooh, and then I'll delete it. I'm like, don't send that. Don't act on that. Don't act on your impulse or your thoughts. Delete. And so you almost never see me typing in anybody's chat. You almost never see me there. Why my baby Keisha got to keep doing me like this? Stop doing me like this, Keisha. Stop. Me and you on the same accord when we in the chat. Everything is love when we in the chat. When I get on these panels, you keep trying to get me. I'm gonna invite you to one of these shows. You're gonna have to stand up for yourself. Keep on messing with me. Keep on messing with me, Miss Keisha. But overall, good experience. So I would advise anybody to go on the BTaylor show to have a little fun. Okay, have a little fun, a little bit of ratchetness. So y'all can see she about that ratchetness, okay? She'll tell you that she ain't ratchet like that, She come from a nice environment and she all privileged and good stuff, and she got her education. But that ratchetness, listen, all you gotta do is say something about black women and she gonna go off. She told Jay Prince, ain't gonna be no disrespecting black women around here. I'm like, do you know who you talking to? Do you know who you talking to? He gonna say what he want. He gonna say what he want. Rob B said she was drinking mimosas. See, I don't drink, so I don't know what that does to your body. I have no clue what mimosas does to your body. Not in the slightest way. I have no clue what mimosas does. So if it make you a little tipsy, that would explain why she was a little she was moving and grooving just a little bit. So I enjoyed it. So I definitely will be back. but I just wanted to give you guys a quick breakdown of my experiences there. Let me see here. I mean, Robbie, do you have a post? Because I'm going to be on Robbie's show. Is it this Sunday? It is this Sunday. Let me look it up. Today's the 18th. Yeah, I'm gonna be on Robbie's show on Sunday. I forget what time. I want to say so she's on Central Time, so it's like 1 Central, but I don't know if she has a post for that. So let me see here. I don't know if she does. Let me look it up. Let me go on her page really quickly and see. Is it on her community tab? Let me see. Robbie, is it on your community tab? I don't know. You're gonna have to you know what? Let me see here. Let me just give Robbie the link because she will explain this much better than me. What my guy Sway said, Aaron, you were on there for almost 2 hours. You lied talking about what's barely Sway. Go up there. You'll see I didn't say much. Review the channel. You will see I actually didn't say much. I was quiet most of the time. I tried to get in, but I didn't want to overstep. I don't want to over talk nobody because they were already there before I got there, so it wasn't it would have been disrespectful of me to try to talk over everybody else who was already on the stream. So if you actually go back on the stream and see, I might have been up there, but I was quiet for a large part of it. So I really didn't get that much of the show in, and that's less than 50% of the show for sure. So, but I'm gonna have Raw B come up and tell me about this show that we're gonna be doing on Sunday because I'm not as quick as her at finding the things that she knows how to find. And also, Raw B and Jay Prince was acting up. I just want to say that. So if y'all want to see ratchetness at its finest, Jay Prince throwing shots, Raw B throwing shots. I'm seeing community tabs. I'm like, oh, this is crazy. But you know what? It's YouTube. So maybe I need to learn to understand this stuff. Look at Lindora said Aaron is on tour. No, I'm just trying to rearrange my schedule as much as I can to try to get involved. But it's hard. I mean, I wish I find listen, if you guys find me that sugar mama, I will be on everybody's stream every single day. Once I'm done running her bath water, once I'm done making her dinner and food and all that stuff before she get home, I'm gonna be on everybody's stream. You don't even have to worry about it at all. So that's what it comes down to. Rob, what you smiling for? What you so excited for?
First of all, I'm laughing at you because you was acting up. I wasn't cutting up. Jay Prince started it with me. He threw his little popcorn shots, pew pew, and then I threw bazooka grenades. You understand what I'm saying? Like he should have left me alone. I wasn't bothering him.
You was taking little jabs at him.
Now I was airing him out. He first of all, how you gonna talk about colorism and dark skinned women when your children is dark? Don't your children hear you? You know y'all live in a tiny.
No, he made a fair point. He made a fair point.
This is the thing though, right? And you don't have children yet, so I get it. But people that have children know. Kids got ears. So if you're spinning the narrative that dark skinned women are ugly and you're raising dark skinned women, that's problematic.
That's not fair. He was not spinning that narrative.
Yes, he was.
No, you guys think because you manipulate him, you can't manipulate me. He was not. He was responding.
He said the beauty standard is that dark skinned women is ugly. And he went on his
that's literally what y'all say.
That's not what I say.
Don't make me go back to my stream. Like we on my stream, we had this big old issue about how dark-skinned women is not considered the standard, and they always got light-skinned women in these videos, and you cute for a dark-skinned girl all the time. So let's not act like he made that up.
I wish I would have been at that show, but that's not what I'm saying that he made it up. What I'm saying is when you have children that are within earshot, because you live in closed, confined quarters, you must be very careful to mind your manners in your mouth. Because your children can hear you, and that's problematic.
No, that's fair, but he was only responding to
he
if we're gonna shift society to the point y'all making, then we got to shift it all different ways. Don't just shift it one way. And to that point, what?
Did you hear what he said? My children was ugly Bama's? Not my
That
baby.
ain't got nothing to do with what I'm talking about now. See, there you go, switching into something we were not talking about. He did say something like that though. He was wild.
But my kids is fly.
I don't know why he said it though. Because I came up there late. I don't know if y'all was beefing. I don't know if y'all was throwing shots.
He was upset. Oh, come here, beautiful. And Mom's on live. Go play. I'll be right with you. Thank you kindly. You kindly. See, that's you know. Back to
I know you got baby geniuses running around because I know they mama, but that's not the point. That's not the point. You acting like what he said in context as the response to what was said to him is not reasonable, and it is. It's actually reasonable.
Hey, listen, everybody has an opinion. It's just like a booty hole. Everybody literally is born with one. But, I just feel like this. When we having these conversations, if somebody make a valid point, that could be a valid point. But a valid point is also that your children are dark skinned. Watch your mouth. So then try to say that other people's children is ugly because your kid's dark skinned. Well, damn it, my kids is dark skinned too. Let's not go there.
Why y'all be the main ones talk about don't make things personal, and then y'all go straight to personal stuff.
My thing is, I don't care because I have a dark skinned little girl, so I'm not ever going to sit in the room and let nobody sit there and say dark skin is ugly. That's a lie from the pits of hell. Brown skin is popping, melanin is popping. We love dark skin.
Y'all wild type crazy.
But
skin color what makes you ugly or not?
Huh? What you said?
I didn't know skin color makes you ugly or not.
Well, that's what Jay Prince said. I think all people are beautiful, but I'm not ever going to let people that are darker complected feel that they're ugly.
But bro, when we say like in real life, this is the first time I feel like I've actually able to say this. In real life, I've never heard that from a black man.
What?
That dark skin is ugly, or it's the shitty beauty standard, or it's the women's. I've never heard that any of these beauty standards or about black women's skin color being the worst. I've never heard any of this from a black man.
No, because that's not necessarily the case. But what he was highlighting was if you gonna take a class of people, right, in the context, right, rich and broke, right, they both exist, right, and you say the rich ones are the better ones, right or wrong, and say we're gonna get rid of the class that we don't need. We only want the rich ones, right? That's the argument, right? It's fair to say
that wasn't the argument. Hey, I'm gonna be quiet.
No. Listen, you can tell me if that wasn't the argument because I pulled up a little late. So when he said something, he might have misconstrued the way they said it because he's screaming and yelling. So if you want, you can tell me what the argument was as far as we don't need broke guys.
It was about dating within your class. So it's like if you're educated, right, you are better off with someone that's educated. If you work a job and you're making a certain salary and you live in a certain neighborhood, you're better off with someone in that same component.
That was the conversation in totality. But that moment, there was a statement about broke guys shouldn't be dating. Broke guys don't deserve.
Oh no, what he said was that women, ugly, dark-skinned women, don't deserve no boyfriend. So I said, well, ain't you dark-skinned? Ain't your daughters dark-skinned? So are you saying your daughters don't deserve no man?
No. Why? That's not the initial point. What you saying is fine, but I'm saying the initial point was something about broke dudes. We don't.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It wasn't even. That wasn't even what it was. Like we just literally were talking about class and classifications and how classes should be together. And then he got in his feelings and he was like that. He picks up women at the Walmart and the Target. Shout out to all you happy shoppers. You may pick up a J Prince and out too.
I feel like you both right.
Well, it doesn't
Prince
matter.
And out too.
Because I'm not about to review the stream and do it right now. But regardless of the point,
yes, we go.
Yeah, Robbie was countering him because she knew that would work, and that's some bullying stuff that she was doing. But that's okay.
No,
you know that was some bullying stuff because he don't have no counter for that statement. He don't have no counter for it. Ain't your children, so you know that he can't come back from that. If you put somebody's children in the argument, it's like, dang. dang, that's like you pigeonhole him. Like, he can't really do nothing with that. And you knew that. That's why you elected to utilize it.
Well, you know what he did as soon as I came up.
No, I don't know what happened. That's why
so let me tell you what happened as soon as I came up, and then we're gonna talk about Sunday show, because that's enough of giving the, you know what I'm saying, silverback gorilla that shine. But when I first came over there to BTaylor's, now I was invited like everybody else. So I'm getting off work. I went and got me a little juice, whatever, little snack. Boop, 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 clicked on the link. He like, oh, here go Raw B, and she just gonna interrupt me, and she talk forever, and blah blah. Like, you trying to show out because we on a new platform? Let me show you, I'm the same OG everywhere I go. Don't try to pull it.
Oh man. Oh my God.
But anyway, Sunday we going from ashy to classy, honey. Okay. Sunday we are meeting with one of the heads at Morehouse. We are celebrating Black men. We're uplifting Black men with education, class, and distinction. Because there's too many bandits running around on these YouTube streets, and there's too many toxic guys running around here. And there's a bunch of different ways to get to the bag, and one of them is education. I know. They try to make you feel like education is not the way, my brother. But for some of y'all, that is key. So we're going to talk about it in a couple other hot topics, and you're going to co-host with me for the time that you could be there,
Yeah, it's gonna be non-ratchet zone.
Yeah, non-ratchet classification. Yeah. You always dress the part, so I don't even have to give you the dress code. You already know.
I'm not about to do this with you. But either way, it was a good time over there. So I'm glad I went. I didn't know what to expect, because I know I was in hostile territory. That I did know. But it was actually.
You said Raw B channel's a non-ratchet zone?
Yes, don't get it twisted. I play with y'all. I played a little ratchetarian every now and again. But the reality is, the bulk of my content, the 1,672 videos of my content, have nothing to do with ratchetarianism. We actually have like lawyers, doctors, big business people over there, therapists.
Robbie is not a ratchet channel. She only pulls a ratchet out when it's time for this little gender war that she was playing into that day. Like, it's up.
It's up.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I pull up over there and say bandits. I'm like, oh, so BTaylor is up with her too.
Robbie might not be necessarily ratchet all the time on her channel, but them women, when they pop up on that motherfucker, is.
Oh no, man, that's what her military. She can't do much about that. Like, that's.
Listen, everybody ratchet, okay? Some men is ratchet, some women is ratchet. I'll say this. I think what Aaron said earlier, it encompasses the space the best. We all come from ratchet, so we all know how to get it popping. You push the wrong button on you have the right person on the wrong day, honey, you finna get your feelings hurt. And it just seemed like every time we all get together, it's like two drunk aunts and uncles down to the cookout. They didn't have one too many drinks, and now we finna see a fight. So,
Yeah, no, it was cool. These people. But it's been a chill day for me. So, but I saw a story that I never got to touch on, and so,
which one?
Oh, I'm going to ignore that. That's crazy. I'll bring you up to speed in a minute. Because you read everything, so you probably know about it. But I have a question for people, right? I get into a lot of back and forth with some people in the space when it comes to business, big business, small business, rich class, poor class. But how do you guys feel about mom and pop shops versus big retail industry, mega business, right? Because this is what I think. I think that we need less mom and pop stores and more big time retailers. What do you guys think about that?
Well, if I'm to be honest with you, I think that the mom and pop stores in a neighborhood need to get under the umbrella of like an S corp. They need to incorporate for the community if that business model is going to work. Because let's take, for instance, marijuana. As marijuana has been legalized, it's all started off in different little mom and pop organizations. But if you go to the same areas now, what has it been, like 10 plus years in some areas? It's big business now. The mom and pop stores are completely shut down. And if you look at like Walmart's, like I live in Arkansas where Walmart was kind of created, like everywhere Walmart has gone has taken out all of the mom and pops in the area. So the day of the mom and pop is over. Save your money and buy a franchise.
Mm, mm. Now, the reason why I say that is because I think the bigger corporations, you have a unique experience with them compared to these mom and pop stores, which I think.
All right, how what is a mom and pop shop to y'all? Is it just
So
a family owned business, or is it like a
yeah,
specific
for
like
the lack of better words,
niche?
yeah.
I mean, that
You
could be
don't have
anything though.
So
That could be almost anything as long as it's owned by a family
so what
and
I'm
run by the
highlighting
family.
what I'm highlighting is places where you have goods for sale, like for example, chips, soda, milk,
So a
things
convenience
like
store.
that. Yeah, essentially so, yes, right? Because obviously you could own a small business, but it's in the industry and it's not basically where it's strategically placed in a neighborhood where they lack access to a Walmart. You know, they call these places food deserts and all that, but I'm not informed enough to argue this points. But it's typically their audience is more like at risk communities, things like that, as opposed to where, the people that have much more money can go to the Walmarts and the Target and they're in better areas, right? These other areas are typically, uh, you know, I would say communities at risk where they have smaller mom and pop stores, even if it's, for example, like a Chinese food restaurant, right? They tend to be strategically placed in an area where poorer communities exist, if you understand what I'm saying, right? So
I don't even think that the Chinese places are mom and pops. Low key, that is my next investigation. I
no,
feel
I'm just giving the example. I'm not saying they're mom and pops because they don't necessarily sell the goods of milk and chips. And when you walk in and spend $1 or $2 to run out in and out the store type of environment, that's what I'm saying. But it's about where it's strategically placed and the audience that it targets. That's
You
more
might
of
as
my.
well just own a gas station.
Yeah, but the problem is the gas stations have gas, but they also have the little snacks and things like that. And like depending where they're strategically placed at, they target a particular audience.
Well, I'm just like,
well,
I mean, most, all right. So a lot of gas stations, even the higher class, fancy, whatever, the Wawas and the Sheets or
Yes.
whatever, they cook food. So they cook food, they served all the regular drinks and beer, and then they also do gas, and they're pretty thriving depending on the area you're in. That's more efficient than you trying to just create one convenience store, because even in New York, they also make food. So I think you got to kind of advertise outside of just selling chips, because if everybody else is selling chips and making
So
food that you want, you know what I mean?
let me
but
give
this
you.
is
Go ahead, Raw. Go ahead.
so this is the thing. I hear what you're saying, Sway. But back to the point about the Chinese stores. Even with the
Oh my
Chinese store,
days.
no, seriously, even the Chinese stores are in at-risk communities and they're selling food that's not nutritious and it's to target a specific community for the cheap. Like you
Yeah.
literally can get what 2 chicken wings and a bag of fries for like $3.25. That done held down a lot of people like still real talk. But even when we're talking about dry cleaners, you ever seen a mom and pop dry cleaners? Now you really haven't seen one since like the mid 90s. They are all to some capacity or other big chains. Like
I mean, private owned, or your building has with their own.
So the reason why I speak to this, right, and we're going to get into it in a moment, is because where I'm from, right, uh, if y'all don't know, where I'm from, we pretty much in a city called Bip City, right? If y'all ain't learned about bipping, go watch my previous video where I teach y'all what bipping is in the Bay and whatnot. And we basically are the originators and the masters at it. Basically, 11 seconds, everything changed. So when it comes to these places, right? The Walgreens in my city been closed down because of theft, shoplifting, and things like that. So I'm more leaning towards a conversation about theft and shoplifting, right? So I have this article here that we're going to briefly go over, right? That I want to talk about here. Well, Walgreens, they're speaking on their, I think this was one of their um, earnings call, whatnot, but they acknowledge that they have overblown concerns about theft in the store, right? So they made investments into private security guards, but those private security guards have proven to be largely ineffective, right? And that go ahead.
Was your initial point about big business is better than small? Is it because small, they don't necessarily invest back into anybody else or the community, and more so invest back in themselves first, but the big kind of invest into like the whole city? It kind of makes a difference in the city and the economy and how, the property value and everything like that.
No, that's not my point. I lead into my point. You'll catch it in just a moment because the way I present it is
Nigga, you think you Steven Spielberg, nigga? You ain't directing no movie, nigga. There ain't no climax to your point, boy. Get the fuck out of here and say your point. I'm just playing. Go ahead.
See that when he time you out consecutively from this panel, don't say nothing.
No, that's just I'm just joking.
Sway, unfortunately, family, so you have to deal with the annoying little brother. That's just how life go. But during the owner's call, they said the shrinkage was about 3.5% of sales, but they also said that number is actually more closer to 2%, and that's when it comes to theft and things like that. So they closed down a bunch of stores, Targets, Walgreens in my city, right? And because they did that, right, what happened was the reason why they did it because the thefts were insane. Like, man, they were just running the stores, taking what they want and things like that. So, in California specifically, and there are other places that may adapt this, that there's a certain percentage of items you have to steal for you to be criminally prosecuted, basically, right? And law enforcement tends to not even chase you unless you've done a certain amount of crime or a certain thing. The meaning Walgreens can't call and say, hey, this person did this, unless they can actually say, yeah, they stole or they damaged something worth $1,000+, right? And the reason that I say that is because y'all know it's crazy, Bip City, all these things, is that it has now, as a shout out to Ashley, she said it's under 1,000, it's 950. And so now we've got a crazy environment of violence and theft and fear and access. So now people that used to go to Walgreens and Targets and things like that don't have as much access because they're starting to close down certain places because the thefts are reportedly too much to deal with. Employees are scared and all of these things, right? So I say that because, well, actually, I want to play this video real quick because I thought this video was crazy. And it's just a sidebar about what goes down in the Bay, but I just want to briefly show this video.
How many people you think are hiring their family members to come through and slide and grab some chicken wings for dinner later?
Listen, how many times? That's it. You know what?
Because if they know this and they know, like, man, they don't even allow us to do nothing to y'all, especially if it's like they telling their family members to come in there and just slide through, pick out, 2 big packs of 20-pack of chicken wings for dinner later, like, and they not gonna get stopped because that ain't enough to stop them for. Or we'll call the police over. That's free dinner every day. Come on now.
That's part of the thought process. But this actually happened in Oakland, right? Now, my guy, Tommy was talking about it briefly. But this place here, this ice cream man was robbed in Oakland, California. This man right here. I don't even know if it has sound to it. Let me see. That's crazy. It actually does have some sound. Now, yes, that is grimy as all outdoors, but that is what goes down in the Bay. All right. It's sad. It's actually pathetic that you're going after a man that, first of all, is that old. That man's probably in his 60s and 70s. And it's sickening that you would rob that man for probably $50 to $100, even $200, to put his life at risk. For trying
your gun laws.
Well, this is the thing.
I'm just fucking with you.
He wasn't putting his life at risk for no ice cream because he just stood there. He said, "Well, have it, dude." I mean, if they was going to do all of that, they should at least stole them a little SpongeBob SquarePants pop.
There you go. There you go. Nah, but see, that's the thing. They just did it because it was opportunistic. They ain't gained nothing. Like, see, this is the thing, right? When we talk about these elaborate schemes, like the what's that lady named, the Thanos lady, or that had the blood thing, and she saw billions of dollars. Like, that's elaborate. Like, do that and go to jail. About. I know, yeah, of course you know, but I can't remember the name or whatever. But it's an elaborate thing. Yeah, whatever, you know what I'm saying, right? Yes. You know, it's this whole elaborate thing that she's done to steal millions and billions of dollars. Okay, congratulations. Go to jail for that. But to do that's sad. But unfortunately, it's situations like that exist. Ashley is acting up in the chat. That's probably what they wanted, no doubt.
It's
just, Aaron, that's a $53 child support payment. What are you talking about?
Stop it, Sway. You know that's double what most people pay. But no, do you think that had to do with the initiation as well?
That won't no initiation. Them niggas slid easy on a. But what?
We don't have gangs. We got turfs, and so we don't have hierarchies like that. Okay. So that's definitely not the case. It's literally just some guys that got 30 rounds and they just hot-headed and they saw an opportunity and they on go all the time because they have nothing else better to do with their life, and they just took advantage of somebody who. Unfortunately, it used to be a code, right? You don't mess with old people. You don't mess with kids. Like, there used to be a code. We are so far removed from that you're dealing with like 16 to 22-year-olds moving like that on a daily basis. And I only bring that up because it's sickening and sad. And I want to make sure that it's highlighted the disgusting things that exist, unfortunately, around my city and in my city. But it leads to the bigger point of the actions and the activities, right? And so when I look at these businesses being pushed out and I look at these small businesses and then I look at these big businesses and I think of the theft and the petty crimes, and I think that it's dangerous. And the reason why is there was this situation that happened maybe a month or so ago. And I think it's really, really interesting. And I was just going to read the article, but I know everybody prefers visuals. So I'm going to play the actual video for them of the situation, and it might trigger something with Robbie because she may have read about it or saw the coverage of it. But
I have the OGs out there soft, man.
No, they ain't that soft. It's just these
young boys out there wilding. They need some aggro.
Then exactly. Then I wouldn't have burned them niggas back because they know they're gonna get burnt first.
It's dangerous, bro. It's dangerous. But I want you to listen to this video. This is where I bring up the total point.
Tensions are high tonight in Columbia, South Carolina, following the shooting death of a 14-year-old boy who was falsely accused of shoplifting. The gas station owner, who has a history of confrontations with customers, has been charged with murder. CBS's Nicole Skanga reports the community is fed up with yet another senseless loss of life.
Mourners protested outside this convenience store in Columbia, South Carolina, to remember 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton, who was shot and killed the night before by the store owner. Hours later, rioters broke in, smashing merchandise and toppling shelves, angry over the loss of another young black life.
It was nothing but looting, just plain, pure looting. And what does that got to do with that 14-year-old?
According to the sheriff, on Sunday night, Belton took water bottles from a cooler before putting them back. The store's owner, 58-year-old Rick Chow, thought he was stealing. After they argued, Belton left and was chased down the street by Chow and his son. Then Chow observed what looked to be a firearm, pulled out his Glock, and fired one shot, hitting the 14-year-old in his back, piercing his heart. The boy's gun was found at the scene.
We believe he had a gun, but we don't believe he pointed at him, and that's the key to it.
Chow is now being held on one charge of murder. The sheriff says the store owner has a history of incidents involving customers, including a shooting in 2018, which was deemed self-defense and for which Chow was not charged. Nada Rutherford is not only the coroner who witnessed Belton's autopsy, but a community member and mother.
It is exhausting to see young black men being killed. It's exhausting to see any person being killed with gun violence.
Behind me, the gas station now boarded up. The 14-year-old's first name, Cyrus, spray painted on its walls. Now, Belton graduated from the 8th grade just last week. His school principal describes him as full of light and humor. Nora?
Now, you have to presume that if there's a 14-year-old going to this frequently in this gas station, it has to be in an area where it's accessible probably for him to walk to. We don't presume he has a car. Maybe he has a bike, right? So it's perhaps in an environment to where, like I said, a lot of these businesses target communities that are more at risk, right? And so this particular guy, see, I went back and read the article up on him, and it's pretty insane if you actually think about it. And so I'm going to pull it up for you guys so you guys can get it. Just
no, we gotta admit that little nigga probably was a degenerate though.
No, we ain't gotta admit it, God.
There you go. There you go, Sway. Acting up.
I'm not gonna rage on Sway. I'm not gonna rage on Sway.
I want to trigger Raw B.
You're not gonna get it, boo.
Watch. I'm gonna get it.
You won't.
I'm gonna pull Keisha up out of you.
You won't.
Watch.
All right, so
let me not ruin air. So
no, you're all right. So he had tons of interactions with the public, right? One time he watched a man take a can of Easy Off cleaner from a shelf concealed under his clothes and leave the store without paying. An incident report. Child followed the man out of the store, demanded the item back, told him to call the police. Child said he was unsure what happened next, but was struck in the face and the can of Easy fell to the ground. Child then pulled his firearm and fired 2 shots. Now, the reason that I highlight that is because there's multiple cases. He actually shot someone before. This store owner likes to fire his weapon.
Well, thank God for that Stop Asian Hate bill.
Well, this is where I'm getting at, right? To me, this is what I think. So First Gen, shout out to First Gen, that's my guy. He says, you have insurance, so why the extras? So, right, well, let's be honest. I'm gonna tell you something about small businesses. They tend to omit getting insurances.
Right.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was just about to say that. Y'all know good and dang on well Chai ain't had no insurance, honey. First of all, he looked like he a cheapy peasy. If he chasing people down for a can of Easy Off, honey, that means that business ain't doing no money, honey. Because Easy Off costs $2.39 plus tax. Okay, for those of y'all that don't clean your oven, that is very cost affordable. But Mr. Chow wanted all that money for a bottle of water. A bottle of water costs all of what? 99 cents. What we really do? Listen. I hope y'all got to try it.
Spicy, man. That's Cali, bro. That shit probably like $3 a bottle.
So this is what I'm thinking, right? This is what goes to my head. One,
Good evening.
What's going on, Flora?
Ah, shit. Here we go again.
Just saying hello. Hope you're all well.
I just want to let y'all know, right? I did a whole stream the other day by myself. Not one curse word. So at the end of my stream, it actually had all green. Robbie know what I'm talking about. See, I got all green on my stream, no yellow, and then I deal with y'all who got filthy mouths, and it's gonna be all yellow after this stream. Okay,
Aaron, the only reason
I won't be a pot mouth today, Aaron,
is because you work in a corporate arena where you aren't allowed to. So you just develop this act to not even do it.
No, I don't cuss because one, this is my personal opinion. I think that it's low vibrational.
Oh my! What are you? Oh my
God!
You earthy?
Oh wow!
Earthy.
Whoa! So, and because we have the ability to use words that are more sophisticated,
I want the way you said that.
Well, the problem is they would expect a black person to be able to only say the N word every 3 words and cuss all the time.
I can understand the N word. The N word I can understand. The cussing stuff. I mean, when you said low vibrational, that's the terms of females. That's the terms of females to me.
Are you vibrating low, sir?
I say that to trigger y'all. I really don't care.
Are you on high vibration, Aaron? Or are you on high vibration right now?
Mission accomplished, Aaron. Mission
accomplished. Where are you at on your vibration?
Right? Sad, right? Instead of saying you're right, we don't have to use curse words. They want to do it, and so
you can't censor me.
I mean,
Grand Rising.
I'm not going to cuss out of respect for your platform, but man, when you say like stuff like vibrations, I'm thinking about them special toys that women have. When you start talking about vibrations, so that's all I'm saying.
I actually don't use that word vibrational. That's just a trigger, y'all. But
such a capper.
Yeah,
well, you did that so well because I'm about to say like you talking about the rose, bro.
No, what you know about the rose?
Why is Robbie shaking now?
Oh, because I was making fun of y'all that have to use the rose and toys of that nature. I don't play those games.
You know you got a closet full of crazy sex dungeon
I don't.
shit.
I don't need to.
Jesus.
Y'all need help.
I'll just say that.
But I think that this particular store owner actually wants to harm people. I think it's intentional, right? Because let me see here. I actually looked it up, and a lot of businesses do not actually have insurance that can cover goods. What their insurance covers tends to be property damage, right? And so, what you yesing for? So because
I was about to say that because them people being so emotional, they just made that man a whole bunch of money. Well, they made his family a whole bunch of money by destroying his property.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to kill you.
No, you all good. But that's what I've noticed. So the thing that I'm highlighting is that the big businesses says this: hey, if it's less than $9.50, go ahead and run out the store. It is what it is. But when you have these small businesses who can't necessarily afford to take a loss on a bag of chips or a water, they have firearms and they fire at people. Even if he did take the water, is that worth his life?
Whoa, hold on. Y'all talking about that thing in Colombia?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that happened right up the street from where I live. Okay, mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what
you from Compton?
Columbia, South Carolina, bro. I'm from Charleston, actually, but yeah.
Oh, I thought you just said this was in Oakland, California. I don't know. I'm not paying attention.
He be lying.
Bro. I'm not paying
He never said that it was in Oakland, California.
I'm not paying attention. I'm not paying
Right.
attention.
You weren't paying the old man.
Okay, Robbie. Then why are you still talking then? Let's move the conversation along. Leave me alone. Leave me alone unless you want to smoke.
What smoke?
Oh, wow.
What smoke, Slay?
The smoke coming out your ass.
The little shh. The
Sorry,
smoke from the candle on the inside.
They're coming out your behind.
Hey, Vato.
Hey, Vato. It's a big one, Slay. You don't know nothing about that. Shh.
Robbie, we know you got a plank back there. Shush.
Yep, I do. It's nice and flat. Looks like SpongeBob SquarePants.
Control your women's leadership.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
You're supposed to be a leader of the community, Aaron. Control your women's.
Yes, because Sway wants to smoke.
Listen, I don't boss nobody around. I let people be themselves. My overall point is that I think that a lot of these stores that they have this type of relationships, and this is not the first time. This happens a lot, that these individual store owners take enacting punishment into their own authority, right? I don't understand why he put his son to chase after somebody. That just doesn't make sense. And that's just one. He's had tons and tons of interactions with the community for a small, petty little theft, right? And if it was a big retailer, they wouldn't even care. And nobody tends to lose their life in those situations. But when they're in these communities that are more at risk, they tend to have more of these situations. So I'm starting to think that they're actually
targeting,
and also, like, I don't know the right word, but they're kind of like camouflaging their intentions, right? Because he actually wants to do this stuff. He actually wants.
Do they actually?
I mean, I've met the guy because I used to go to that gas station. I mean,
you met that Asian,
right? Because it's the gas station not that far from like where I stay, and I mean, the community. Nice, I mean, I just went in there to buy, like, they had the Mystique, like the orange carrot Mystique juice.
How expensive is the water bottle?
That. The water? I mean, the water is like $1 and some change. I mean, it's a wild story because where he shot old boy at, the kid, is actually like right down that street. So you get off Park Lane, you go like on that street, it takes you back to all these apartments. And they got like a memorial and stuff out there. And you know, it's crazy. His mom, the boy mom, be out there every day, like, you know, kind of fixing up his mural and stuff. And like, she'll be out there writing in her journal. It's kind of wild. But I mean, the whole thing is wild. I mean, the boy down over the water bottle, but at the same time, I mean, like that gas station, man. I mean, there's a lot of interest, a lot of rough characters that go in there. The neighborhood is not necessarily the best, and I mean, that's Richland County, man. Richland County is off the chain.
You're speaking to my point, though, right? So I actually don't know anything of that area, right? I'm not from there, right? But I'm pretty good at figuring things out, right? Now, the reason that they put themselves in that community is because they target that community.
I mean, I wouldn't say they target, because there's a Circle K right up the street, and they never had any issues like that. So I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily that they target the community.
Circle K is a franchise. They have insurance for theft. Circle K gets robbed every single day, multiple times a day.
And this gas station is a shell.
Okay, so let me give you guys a breakdown about gas station and different franchise and franchisees and the expectations. Shell is one of the easiest franchises to get into. They are the least expensive, and they don't require privatized owners to be held to the same standard as the rest of the people in corporate. Circle K, because Circle K is such a big franchise and their reach is quite extensive, they have certain standards that you have to uphold in order to be a franchisee. Otherwise, they will take your franchise away from you. So it's not the same.
Facts.
I mean, a lot of people buy it, and then you know the EBT be paying out. I know my homie, he put one on Skid Row, and that fool said that the EBT, you know, they be coming through with that shit.
I'm just trying to. I guess I am understanding Aaron's point now is more, you know, on the one is you have no fear of dying if you shoplift, and then the other one you might. But we're also trying to defend people shoplifting. So I'm not
No,
sure.
it's not about.
How are you gonna
Well, I mean, we'll be the same people to say if you smack me in the face, you can't tell me if I decide to pull a gun out on you. I mean, I don't.
Okay, but that's conflating a point. You're talking about interpersonal
If somebody was to come into your home and rob you, you wouldn't be.
Yeah, but that, dude,
we're talking about two different things. It's an interpersonal interaction versus
the kid ran out of the store and the dude chased after.
I'm not. All right, let's just take it off the child in this person in the situation indirectly, because I think it's in totality. Aaron's point in general. I don't necessarily think small businesses should be diminished because you got one crazy Chinese man trying to shoot up a 14-year-old.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I think that's probably a one-off chance. A lot of places, if they get into those type of neighborhoods, they're not necessarily just going to be fighting back. Them niggas will leave and sell that hoe to a new sucker who wants to try to fight and sell to the community. I've seen multiple times these store owners just sell, and you have a new one come in every 6 months because they either not making a good profit or they don't want to take the risk because they've been there and they see that it's not worth it. If this guy's willing to get a gun and try to fight the community back, that's on that nigga. I don't think most store owners are doing that.
This is the thing, and it's not a one-off, because Asian people that have their stores in minority communities have had a very high propensity of violence against the community. So much so that
we're going to
wait a minute.
I'm just saying, are we going to drop it down to Asian owners? I get it, but I'm clarifying. I'm asking for clarification. Are we specifying Asian owners?
You said because one Asian man held a gun and it doesn't happen that
Are we specifying Asian owners, though? I'm talking about store owners.
No, you're interrupting and I wasn't finished my point.
I'm asking you a clarifying question so we can be on the same page.
Okay, so be quiet so that I can answer for you. Thank you, baby. So in the Asian community, they have had a high propensity of violence, but they're not the only ones that have a high propensity of violence, because people take it as a personal attack, as if someone is stealing from them. And there needs to be stiffer positions in play when you are owning a small business, because the reality is we live in a society where you should not necessarily take violence or take the law into your own hands. That is called vigilantism, and that is in fact against the law. What you're supposed to do in any instance outside of someone coming to your home or putting their hands on your person is alert law enforcement and allow them to carry out the penal codes for your municipality. Let's be quite
Y'all
frank
niggas
and
is
honest.
full of shit. Y'all think y'all can say that on YouTube and say call the police if somebody smack me or punch me or come in my house in the middle of the night. Yeah, just call the police and allow them to sit there and do whatever the fuck they want. Y'all niggas are full of shit. I swear to God.
That's a
We
different
can move the
situation.
conversation along. We can move
You're
the
talking
conversation
about
along.
home. You're talking about home invasions. That's a totally different
Raw B
scenario.
just said call the police and don't do anything.
What I said was
that's not what she's saying, man. That's not what she's saying. You're being being
I'm listening
obtuse,
very
bro.
well.
You're being obtuse. What she's
She
saying
did not
is,
say pull out the gag and defend yourself.
Okay,
actually I did. I said in the instance where someone is causing you bodily harm or putting their hands on your person, that's the only time you should defend yourself. That is literally what I said verbatim.
And to her point, if somebody comes in your house and they, depending on your state, and they turn their back and walk out, regardless of what they took, if you run after them and shoot them to their back, that's considered murder in a lot of states.
Nobody's talking about running after somebody and shooting them. I'm not, like I said,
but
if we're talking about this, I said I'm not talking. I just said I'm not talking about this specific instance. If we wanted to justify this guy, I never justified this dude's instance of killing a 14-year-old or running after him for a water bottle or the can of stove cleaner. I think that's dumb as fuck. But I'm talking about the heir's point on why he thinks big businesses should be more influential, or I guess be more promoted than small businesses.
We never said that either.
Well, I'm trying to. Can you let me have the conversation with him instead of trying to chime in every 5 seconds?
You cut everybody off as soon as they speak, and then you get in your
I
feelings.
don't cut everybody off as soon as they speak.
Actually, you do, but
I don't.
Continue. You do.
I don't.
You're 5. Go ahead, Aaron.
You're 39.
Thank you.
Be a bigger woman.
I am. That's why I'm letting you.
No, you're not. You're still talking,
Aaron. Oh, look at you. You're cute. Oh.
So what I'm highlighting?
You're too big for your age.
You're too small for your age.
That was actually kind of funny, Robbie. I'm not gonna lie.
So
malnourished children, damn it.
So in those communities, they're more obviously those communities face a higher level of poverty, a higher they have a lack of resources. They don't have a lot of money in those communities, and they still decide to place their businesses in it, right? When you're familiar with like food deserts, right? What they tend to talk about is other communities don't have accesses to the Walmarts and to the Targets. Like they don't put those next to the projects or close by. You got to travel to get to them. But
Aaron,
go ahead.
I can't speak to any other place, but I know in that community especially, I mean, this could probably apply to other communities. These are working class people, man. I mean, you do have like riffraff, don't get me wrong, but I mean, most of them are working class people. They may not have, an abundance of resources, but I mean, they got enough money. I mean, you drive through them neighborhoods, man. These are apartments, motherfuckers driving, Chargers and Challengers, and some of them got BMWs and stuff. And I mean, yeah, that's credit, but I mean, they have enough to get the things they want. The businesses that go into the hood in areas like that, they see a market that could be served. Chinese restaurants are no different. You can always find a Chinese restaurant in the hood because they understand, hey, these are people with money. They need goods and services. Now, as far as like the discrimination and all that stuff that comes out of it, that's a whole different, aspect. But I mean, the longest, and there's even not even that far from where that area is. I mean, within the same area, there's like quite a few. There's like 2 or 3 grocery stores. Now there are a bunch of liquor stores. Like literally, there are 50 liquor stores on that road alone. Literally, if you drive on Park Lane, going up to Decker and whatnot, there's not, you see a bunch of liquors. There are some grocery stores, Chinese restaurants, but there's a bunch of liquor stores, a bunch of liquor stores, and liquor's not cheap. and you got people who are buying that shit. So they do have money. It's just, what do they spend their money on?
Do you see liquor stores in Beverly Hills, or do they target specific communities?
They target, I will say to a degree, yes, they do market to communities that they know are going to buy their services and products. They know people in the hood want liquor. So what do? They put liquor stores in the hood. I mean, that's a smart business move.
Okay,
I mean,
does Walmart or like another big box retailer sell liquor?
Yep. And
they sell, yeah, like.
Go ahead, Raw, because this is crazy.
You may not see a liquor store in Beverly Hills and like West Hollywood, but if you go into Target, you can surely buy Jack Daniels directly in Target. Legit.
They're not in the community to fill a need. They're in a community because of distance. They're trying to be the most convenient access to someone prior than someone else. They want to be as close in proximity, because proximity tends to be the case in most of these situations, right? Mom and pop stores or like small ownership stores cannot offer better prices than big box retailers. They just can't. We all know that, right? So there's no way that a person would go there over somewhere else if it's closer in access. It's proximity based. And so what I have noticed, and over the years, this is not just only this story, what I've noticed is that only in these environments do you see a store owner firing shots. You don't see a manager that's running a store owned by a corporation firing shots.
So you basically
go ahead.
So you're promoting big business in impoverished neighborhoods?
Yes, it's much better for impoverished neighborhoods than a small business owner. Yes,
I guess I can agree to that. Yeah, small business probably do better in more financial, economic neighborhoods. They don't have to necessarily have to worry about spreading their wealth to the community and upholding the community, because the community is doing it itself and they can invest in itself and make a better business. Now, the Walmart, they're going to have to invest into the community so they don't keep getting robbed unless, like you said, up and move.
So this is the thing about Walmart too. And Robert, they do actually sell liquor in Target and Walmart in California. It's different statutes. They most assuredly do. Walmart doesn't always pay their bills to the community either. In fact, Walmart, as it has been built, has not only closed out mom and pops, it's polluted the waters, and they've faced a lot of fines. This is why you see a lot of empty Walmarts all over the place, because they have not kept up with the community. So when we're looking at big businesses have one challenge and smaller businesses have another. With big businesses, though, they have insurance. It's just like the bank. You don't see small banks are here and there, but bigger banks are not really tripped off about being robbed. They're usually covered by their insurance and the FDIC. Smaller banks, not to the same extent. So if somebody robs them, it's a bigger thing. Same thought process applies to mom and pops versus corporations. But I actually gotta go. But I did want to come up here and spend some time with you, Aaron. You know I love you. Even though Sway is a little toxic, that's a little bro here.
Okay, you about to go hype your head up. I don't want to hear that.
Now see, y'all see what's wrong with these banditos. Okay, you try to show them some love and they want to act.
I'm a God-fearing man, ma'am. I'm a virgin. So
the devil is a lie and the truth ain't in you. Don't get struck down right now. Swear you be out there smashing on flat cakes every day. Aaron.
Thank you, Robbie. I appreciate you being here.
I will see
you love micro penises, don't you?
Do y'all need to meet up?
I was enjoying that. I'm glad. I'm mad she had to go. I was enjoying this. Like
that was Auntie. What are you talking about?
So the thing is, I know you guys don't want to believe it, right? But why do you think that? Okay, most people move out of the projects, right? Just think about this. Because if you have enough money, you move out of the projects because you don't want your family to be subjected to the type of violence that exists within it, right? That's just a real understanding, right? This man, this particular store owner, they said he has had so many interactions So many calls, officers having to go out to a store. We're talking about, let me see, I'll pull it up here. We're talking hundreds of calls to the store years before this happened. So his activity, his actions, him carrying a weapon, all these things is prevalent. Now, if you didn't want to have to carry a weapon, if you didn't want to have to be in that environment, why would you be there? And it seems to me for money, right?
For money.
Exactly. He's in it.
Well, I mean, but poor people, and I hate to say it like this, poor working class people have always been and will always be the battery packs for the matrix. Like, okay, for example, I sell life and health insurance, so Medicare insurance. My core demographic are 65 people over 65 with Medicare Part A and B, and people who are on, low income. Because people who have low income, I'm incentivized to sell them low income plans, especially if they have like state funded Medicaid, which is Medicaid is called something different in every state. But in South Carolina, it's called Healthy Connections. So if a person has Medicare and Medicaid, I can get them plans with ridiculous benefits, and I make good money from those plans. Also, I can sell them, cheap life, well, not cheap, but low cost life insurance policies. So like $10,000 to $20,000 life insurance policies. But the majority of my business is done like in the hood, bad areas. That's where the bulk of my business is done. But that's for really any kind of sales. I mean, that's any kind of business. If you can find a business that works, whether it's food, liquor, whatever the case may be, you sell it to the poor middle class. And then when you start talking about, let's say, vehicles and loans and auto loans, the game is, well, you get I give you a prime example. I was talking to this girl, she's 19, and she said she wanted to get a car. I said, really, what kind of car do you want to get? This girl wants to get a Challenger at 19. Now she said she had like $2,000 or $3,000 saved up for the down payment. So what's going to happen is, if her parents decide to co-sign with her, she's going to get that Challenger, be paying, $400, $500, $600, $700, $800 a month, whatever, plus insurance, and she's going to be, she's going to be put on that perpetual cycle, forever paying off these bills. I got a younger brother, he's 22. Now, we didn't grow up poor, but it can be a mindset. So he has a $5,000 spend credit card. What does he do? Charges it up, getting J's and all types of other goofy shit. And now what happens is, he now owes a bank $5,000 for that credit card. So that poor people make poor decisions. That's what keeps them poor. Poor working class people, and that is on purpose. So yeah, it is a very, if you're an entrepreneur, or if you're an enterprising individual, if you want to open a business and make some money, go into a poor neighborhood, sell some liquor.
And Great Dane. Oh, I'm sorry, Aaron.
Yeah, that's I'll be quick, Dark Lake, and you can go. That's not the argument. The argument is, when you get into a business, and you expect that type of business, you expect theft. Nowhere in any type of business class do they tell you, hey, maybe you might need to get a weapon to protect your business.
Mm-hmm.
You see the confliction there? Like, if you move into those communities, to expect to have a threshold for loss.
That's the cost of doing business. Because I mean, even when I go into, I'll give you a perfect example. A lot of my best clients live in, they have these homes for the mentally disabled. That is like one of the best places to go to make money, because a lot of the mentally disabled, they're getting disability. If you get disability for 2 years, they award you Medicare, and because they're mentally disabled, they're already getting a state funded plan. That's like an easy sell for me. And typically we're only supposed to sell at the latter part of the year. If a person has both Medicare and Medicaid, we call those dual eligibles. I can sell them 4 times out the year, every quarter. Like I'll go into these places, like these terrible places, and make a lot of money with insurance products. And you can do that with any other kind of product. These people, they buy phones, they need goods and services, and somebody has to deliver it. It's just been that Asians, Indians, Arabs, they are usually the ones who will go into these areas, and they're usually the few who will come in and offer these products and services. Because the irony about this story is the community wanted that gas station closed. They wanted the police and all them, the city, to shut down the gas station. And, the city, the police chief was like, no, we don't have that power, but the gas station is closed. So, now the Circle K up the street is getting the bulk of the business. I never bought gas from them anyway, because they're always high. But, you can make a lot of money if you're willing to weather the storm. And there's a lot of people who will do that, especially the barriers to entry are a lot lower, because like you said, if you don't have people who want to come in and invest heavily in these areas, okay, get some immigrants from another country to come do it. And to them, the hood is a walk in the park compared to where they come from.
But see, hey, Great Dane, everything you were saying earlier really speaks to Aaron's point, because they strategically put these liquor stores in low-income communities, especially low-income Black communities, right? And it's all a plan, it's all a strategy. And you made a great example with your job that the low-income people are the batteries for the matrix. I think that was a great point, because the thing is that these immigrant people, right? They know this, right? But they plan out their entire children's lives, bro, based off of the batteries that you're talking about. And instead of showing any like empathy for it, these immigrants come over here and say, oh, what's a sure thing I can do? My cousin already knows this. My brother already knows this. We're just going to go there, set up this liquor store or whatever, this little Chinese shop in this Black area. Right. And I just think that is, I'm from Los Angeles, and that's always pissed me off. And there's also a thing called like tribal grace, right? That's why when you walk into a Chinese restaurant, like a small hole in the wall Chinese restaurant, you always see them showing grace to other Chinese people, kissing white people's ass, but always trying to rush the Black people who come in out of there. So if a Chinese person would steal a water bottle, right? It's theft, so it's wrong, but that Chinese guy isn't getting shot like the Black kid is, because it's like tribal and racial grace that's given. And my thing is, theft is wrong. It shouldn't be done. But that Black kid stole a water bottle, right? Took that away from that Chinese family or business, right? But how many children has that Chinese man sent to college based on low-income Black people buying shit in the store, though? And so that's why it's hard for me, even though I do not agree with theft or crime, it's really hard for me to feel sorry for some of these immigrants that are going through some of this stuff, because they're choosing to take advantage of the low income people. So I feel like there's consequences on both ends.
I mean, you would be correct. I just think the issue is we're trying to figure out the intent. We're looking at the actions and trying to judge the intent. The intention of people who start businesses, run businesses, and operate businesses is to make money. Circle K, there's a Circle K up the street. They don't care any more about the community, so to speak, than the gas station where the owner did. They don't care anymore than he did. And so, I mean, yeah, they're not going to take, he made a judgment call. It was a very bad, terrible judgment call. But the judgment call he made is not indicative of all of those businesses, you know, or immigrant businesses in general. Because, I mean, it's not like Black people wouldn't do the same shit. I'm Black. If I have some kids come in my store and they're dressed a certain way, acting a certain way, it's going to make me feel a certain way, because I know it's associated with that culture. Now, you can call it prejudice or whatever the case may be, but these are survival instincts. We all have some form of prejudice. You know what I mean? It's how we are able to.
Yeah, no, but the difference is Black people don't have any sort of system where we could enact our prejudice like other groups can. That's the difference.
Well, we do have a system on how we can enact our prejudices. It's called, number one, it's called the Black community, and it's called the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, and I'm not trying to get political, but they've made it very easy for us by, you know, I don't even want to get this, but there are ways for Black people to enact their prejudices. The Jedi mind trick is, well, we as Black people don't have power, and see, the white man sits in the seat of power, even though, you know, I have just as many white clients as Black clients, and there are a lot of poor white people. You have more white people on welfare than you do Black people, just not even based off of sheer proportion, but just just based off
because of the Democratic Party, not because of the Republican.
Well, but that's something that's correct. That is something that was set up to benefit people who are impoverished, so to speak. But
so the Democratic Party isn't. I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think your statement is not right. The Democratic Party isn't a way that Black people can enact our prejudices if the Democratic Party is also responsible for white people being on welfare.
Yeah, but why are white people on welfare? They're not on welfare because they're white. They're on welfare because they don't hit certain income gaps that were associated with Black people. It was
but there's no way for but in that example that you used, Dane, that's not a good example as to how Black people can use the Democratic Party to enact any prejudices we have. I think that you were right when you said that Black people also have prejudices. But what I'm arguing is that we don't have a system in place to project those prejudices like other groups of people have, especially like immigrants.
So then what is affirmative action? Affirmative action, what is affirmative action? What is diversity and inclusion policies? All of these things are all about creating the perfectly color-coded organizations, colleges, and creating creating equal opportunities for other people. But what that means is, thanks to affirmative action, thanks to diversity and inclusion policies, let's say you can go and apply for a job, let's say as a VP or an executive at a company. And if there are 5 white candidates who are more qualified than you, and you're the Black candidate, they'll go with you just based off the fact that you're qualified just enough to get through the door.
And that is complete fallacy. That is a complete fallacy, bro. The affirmative. I'm sorry, Aaron. I just want to say this because I don't want to take it off topic. I just want to say this, dude. Yes, it's true that affirmative action became corrupt. It was supposed to help minority people, but it ended up helping white women the most, right? The issue is that I don't like when Black people criticize affirmative action so much, because the example that you use, it wouldn't be 5 qualified white people and they choose a Black person because of them meeting a quota because of affirmative action. No, it would be 4 out of those 5 white people who essentially knew somebody, had a parent or somebody who basically bought them their way into that organization, that university, that job, or whatever. And because a lot of Black people have been in low income areas throughout this nation's history, Black people weren't afforded that same opportunity to have somebody pay for them to go to UCLA, pay for them to go to USC because their parents are rich. They just have this, like, basically they're just paying for a degree essentially. And because there was a huge power imbalance and opportunity imbalance in that sense, something had to be done. So I think the reason for it was correct. It's just throughout the years, it became extremely corrupt.
Well, I mean, and I can understand where you're coming from. I understand that argument. I mean, but the power imbalances has nothing to do with wealth. It has all to do with economics and money. And that's something, getting money, getting economics, getting resources is something that anybody could do if they put in enough work. Like this conversation, seriously. The money conversation is different from like how you have guys who will say, well, if you self-improve, you can get any woman you want. This conversation is different from that conversation, because no matter how much you self-improve, that does not guarantee you the type of woman you want. Now, you can get better outcomes, but there is no guarantee. Versus if you pay your bills on time, if you spend less than you make, if you pay off your car and buy a house and pay that off, you can become not only financially free, but you can be on the track to be wealthy. Everybody's done it. You have immigrants who come over here and they do it within 2 to 5 years.
Do you guys agree that these liquor stores, these mom and pop stores, these places where store owners and their family-owned business, especially ones that have weapons, are dangerous for the community?
No. I think the community is more dangerous to them than they are to the community.
But they're taking resources out of the community and sending their kids to college.
How is the community more dangerous to them than they are to the community?
Easy, because the same in this particular example, the Asian store owner, he's gone, right? Now, the community is still doing the same bullshit they were doing before he got there, i.e., they're still shooting, i.e., they're still acting in certain ways that are not productive to the people around them. Like it's nothing has changed. And this is what I find hilarious. That gas station's been closed for months. There is not one black investor. There is not one black business owner. Hell, you don't even have the community saying, you know what, let's band together our money and let's buy this gas station, make it our own. We'll set up a trust or whatever the case may be.
Hold on. So let me read the super chat. I'm not making it a racial thing, by the way. Dirty Dude says, I get sick of people using the Dems for every problem. Well, they're going to always use Democrats when you have conservatives. First Gen said, can we please move on? Now the new enlightened folks speaking on things they know nothing about. Dirty Dude says, tons of problems with Dems, but call out pubs for they. What is a pubs? I don't know what a pubs is.
Republicans.
Oh, is that what it is for their? Fair enough. So here's the point, right? You don't have to have a business there at all. I don't care. You don't have to have a business there at all. But if you're going to be in a community, there is going to be theft. Any community that's underserved, whatever the case is, they're going to steal. And do you think you should ever die if you steal? That's the question.
No, of course not.
So that's what I'm saying. So small store owners with weapons are dangerous. Very, very dangerous.
But if you're going to say that, then you're going to have to say that everybody, let's say in my where I live, let's say everybody in my neighborhood is dangerous because they have a gun. I'm dangerous because I have a gun.
No, it's not the same because when you go to a store because they have goods that you know exist there, and somebody out of 100 people is going to steal it. Because that's what comes with business, especially in that industry. Something's going to get stolen. That's how it goes. In every single industry, they know that's going to happen. So the small businesses are the only ones that actually endanger people's lives for petty crimes. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be punished for the crime, but the store owner should not be enacting the punishment ever.
No, I agree. But I don't think the store. I mean, I think that this situation is an isolated case, mainly because most of the store owners, even in that area, do not pose a threat to the community. That was just a very isolated case. But I mean,
no, but wait, Great Dane. The thing is that you're right. It was an isolated case. However, and in addition to this, is sort of like a hidden built-up animosity between the communities. Like in Los Angeles, bro, and it's not all the immigrant-owned shops. A lot of them are very nice people, right? But in Los Angeles, dude, there is this sort of, I can't really think of a word for it right now, but you walk into like a Chinese place, an Arab place or whatever, and you as a black person, you see the difference in treatment. You get followed around. People are looking at you, waiting for you to steal something, right? And a lot of times you'll see other races of people steal stuff, but it's just sort of, a slap on the wrist. It's just sort of, they don't really put the same sort of attention on them that they do like a black kid walking into the shop with the hoodie on. You feel me? There's some
who's animosity on the TV and stuff. I know it's not you, but you guys creating that for your own people. Like, it's like us. They say we're lazy and stuff. It's like not all of us, but the people that are fucking up, they're fucking up for everyone else.
Well, I do think that I think he has to mute a little bit. Hey, okay, thanks. I think that
he's correct.
I think that what you're saying is true, right? However, just because what you're saying is true doesn't mean that it's makes logical sense, right? So if a black kid, right, we all know that black kids, especially young black boys, they're going to be judged differently. So if a white kid walks into a shop with a hoodie on, they're not going to look at him the same way that a black kid does if he walks into a shop with a hoodie on, right? But just because, so what you're saying is that since you black people know that the stereotype
is not just you guys. I mean, in North County, they see Mexicans, bald Mexicans, or just in a shitty car, they're gonna follow you and try to stop you because they might think you're up to no good. So it's
But
just we all go through it because
if the
we're
Mexican is but
we look
bro,
certain, we're not white.
but Vato, if a Mexican is driving in a shitty car, does that mean that Mexican is perpetuating the stereotype of Mexicans being lazy and needed to be followed around by the cops, though?
Possibly.
No, maybe it's just the ones in the car payment.
You guys are missing the overall point. The overall point is that anytime there's a small business owner with a weapon, they are dangerous because people are going to steal. So they're actually going into the community, knowing people are going to steal with the thought to actually hurt people. That's the
point. Most of these businesses don't have weapons, not like that. Now the liquor stores maybe pawn. I mean, you have pawn shops. There are white people working in pawn shops and they have guns. They open carry guns in some pawn shops. Gun stores are no different. They open carry in gun stores. So are they equally as dangerous? And they're white.
They're not equally as dangerous because there's a difference between the pawn shop and a store where they have food there.
But the pawn shop has more ticket items that are worth more than the food. And pawn shops experience theft too.
But see, that's the point. If you have a ticketed item that's worth thousands and thousands of dollars, it's within reason for you to want to defend it. But to defend $2.99 bread and you enact a fatal,
I mean, it's all insured if they have insurance.
They don't actually have insurance. You guys are confused. They don't have insurance for bread and milk and things like that.
Yeah, no, insurance just covers like collateral, like the building, breaking and entering, things like that. They don't have like insurance for consumables and stuff. That's what that would do. You would just have to write that off as a loss from the business stamp on the business side.
Yeah. That's correct.
Okay. Because I mean, I was a security guard at Smart and Finals and this is in the heart of the Hoover's gang, on Manchester and 83rd Street. So, I mean, like there's a little bit of Mexicans, but it was mostly, black people. And bro, they would jack everything, dog. I mean, like diapers, formula, you name it. I mean, the day before Thanksgiving, first day on the job, 3 black people came in strapped up. I felt like we were playing GTA, dog. This was Jack, they didn't know what they were doing, Like I didn't know about this. Like the one of the workers told me like at 9:30, like, oh yeah, we got jacked a month ago, so be careful. They had the guard on the ground, and I my job didn't tell me shit, And then I still went back. They had 2 security guards, but I ended up leaving because I did catch the license plate, and it was 2 female drivers. They almost left the guy with the money.
Gee, these anecdotal stories is crazy. That's just what I've noticed. I just see that this happens a little too often, and it never happens when a big corporation has managers and employees in place. They never chase.
So do you think that the city council should ban? Let's say they do some red tape and they make a policy where in order to come into this. Operate in this particular area, you have to pay X amount of fines. Let's say they charge various different fines, permits, building codes, special insurance, and effectively just raising the price or raising the cost to do business. Do you think that would be an effect? Do you think that's a solution that cities and counties should enact?
Yes, they absolutely should get rid of people that are in high-risk neighborhoods. They should ban them from owning firearms, actually.
But do you think that they should make it harder for small businesses to operate in those areas in favor of big businesses?
Say that.
Do you think that the prisoner should get a second chance, like get at least?
Well, they already do it to black people.
A fair chance at a nice job, or like even to get the right to vote, or they lost that. Even if they recovered from.
Great day.
Well, hold on. First Gen says small business owners often take outsized risk for gains. True. Aaron has a point. For small banks, they have to take more risk to make money. Why don't big corporations do that? And so,
because it's not feasible. It is not feasible. No, that's like you saying, well, that's like if you have a business and you're scaling your business can only be in so many places. And so the big corporations, kind of going back to Walmart's not going to put a store just anywhere. it has to make business sense, and it has to be in an area where they can do what they have to do in a way that's going to allow them to make money. So
no, you're making my points. For the example, right? Walmart can afford to occupy that space more than any of a small store owner can. If they're not willing to do it, is because they know, one, it comes with theft. They know people are going to steal. They understand that, right? And they know that they're not going to hire people to chase them and try to engage with them.
But so then Walmart, that's not Walmart's market. Because see, just because a business model doesn't work for one doesn't mean it doesn't work for another. See, having small businesses in the hood is a business model, no different than me going out and selling insurance to people who are in these areas. That's a business model. You also have agents, they sell from home. You also have agents, they focus on high ticket items. I focus on lower income items because
here's the difference. Here's the difference, right? You have to understand all these things. When this is why it's bad for the community. One, because if you're a small store owner and you're going to defend the property, right? You put people at risk because you're going to the amount of profits that you can lose for things being stolen is incomparable for a big business. Here's the other part that sucks. The corporations are going to hire people. These people are going to hire their family. So they're not actually employing anybody in the community. They're just sucking up the resources and not redistributing any of that wealth in that. Go ahead.
So Aaron, Quick Trip has armed guards at some of their gas stations. Do you think that's dangerous? They have armed security. Now, so you're telling me you would rather a corporation come in with armed security than just having a small mom and pop and they have minor security? Because armed security, they can do more dangerous stuff than just, because I mean, they have tactical stuff. I mean, they have gun, bulletproof vests, they have mace, all kind of other stuff. So you saying you think that's better?
What I'm saying is that yes.
So do you guys think you know how that white kid got away with the murder, whatever, he shot the skateboard guy?
That's so much better. I'm sorry.
They're having the protest or whatever. Do you think if it was a Mexican or a black guy, and they were trying to protect their property, he would have got the same treatment?
Yeah, it's not a racial thing. I'm not making it a racial thing. Other people can do that. That's not my goal with the conversation. Right?
We're talking about the businesses and their operations. Look, at the end of the day, Aaron, I understand your point, and it would make sense if Walmart was in the business of having stores everywhere they are, but
it's not about
feasible.
Once again, it's not about in the business. You keep trying to make that point. My point is this: if you're going to be in a high risk community, the only reason they're not in that high risk community because they understand the losses that will come with it. It's the only reason. The only reason big corporations aren't in these smaller communities because they know theft comes with being in those impoverished communities. They know that. So if you come in with your business, you have to accept that. You don't.
I'll give you another example. So in Charleston, South Carolina, you have a place called Rivers Avenue. Rivers Avenue is like hell. Nothing but crackheads walking up and down. Yet there's a lot of businesses on Rivers Avenue, including a Walmart. It's in and I call it the den of iniquity because they always have some thefts going on. They always have robberies and stuff going on, but yet they're able to still turn a profit. So, I mean, you will have big corporations in low bad areas, but the area is not the only determining factor. There's a lot of other factors that go into that. But regardless, the factors.
But they have EBT. They have money to pay for that stuff until they don't.
Excuse me. I just wanted to say really quickly to the gentleman that just super chatted. I had my phone in places that was accidental. I wasn't trying to get you with your comments. My bad, darling. But the Great Dane and Dark Lake been having a really great debate with the back and forth on a few topics, and there's a couple of points of contention. Number one, we're not going to act like the one-offs that attain wealth are the archetype for everybody to attain wealth in impoverished communities. Impoverished communities are in fact set up so that the people within them remain impoverished. If that was not the case, there would be more than 1% of the whole entire population of the United States of America that are wealthy. So let's stop that argument right there.
Well, so you consider billionaires are the only wealthy people? You're considering billion wealthy?
Well, she didn't say that.
I didn't
she
say
said
that.
less than one. The top 1%.
1% of the whole population that is considered wealthy. And in case you are not maybe aware, that wealth starts from like the mid six figures up to billionaires. It's not really that many people as y'all would like to think. So to say that, oh, you can just strap yourself up by your bootstraps and pull yourself out of poverty, that's not actually true. And
That is true, but I'll let you finish.
How is that true?
Because that's the blueprint. But I'm gonna let her finish what she's got to say before I start going off like that.
That's the blueprint. So since you want to talk about blueprints, let's talk about blueprints then. Right? Blueprints are redlining is a principle that was put in place by the mortgage companies to make sure that certain areas will always be considered low income. And guess what? Those barriers have not changed even with gentrification. Gentrification has just raised up the property level of impoverished neighborhoods. For decades immemorial, those impoverished neighborhoods have received less financial contribution due to property taxes for the education of the youth and the generations that were raised therein. Therefore, and ergo, it is much more difficult to pass an ACT, an LSAT, an SAT test when you come from an area in which a school is just a name. We can look at Detroit right now. Detroit right now does not have enough money to actually educate the children. They don't have laptops, they don't have textbooks, they don't have any extracurricular activities. The school is just a name only. Do you mean to tell me that those kids can just strap up their bootstraps and actually make it out of poverty?
Well, do you think that's a racial issue, or do you think that's a, so do you think, because I do believe with you on one part, I do believe it is by design that the money is being absorbed into certain areas, but do you think that's because of race, or do you think that's because of economics?
It is the economics of race. And I like when people try to utilize semantics to separate the two principles. You cannot. This whole entire country, because this whole entire country is based off of racial commerce. Do you not forget that for 400 years, the United States of America had absolutely free labor. So every single thing that they made, every single income revenue dollar that was generated from the goods and services bartered with other countries throughout the globe were made off the backs of slaves that did not get paid any wages for their work.
And and I understand that, but yet how do we justify the many millions of people, not only white people, on welfare, not to mention the fact that the average national income for most Americans is less than $40,000 a year. So around $33,000 a year is individual income, household income being $60,000 a year. So how do you explain that?
How you explain that is very simple. It's called indentured servitude. Even when the colonizers came over here, even though they had African American slaves, they had slaves that looked like them that sold their soul overseas in order to get free passage to come to the United States of America, to which they would work 11 to 12 years. Now, when you look especially in New York, which was at the top of the peninsula, that was the United States all the way back in 1776 and so on and what for? Those people were living in poverty. They were living in like actual shanties. They are the originators of the shanty town. They were having no wages. There was massive amounts of war. This is when you had Jack the Ripper. It was a lot of violent crimes going on. When you ask me to justify the amount of white people on social services, well, the reality is they are about a good 87% of the population. So per capita, of course, there would be more of them on social services. Let's be real.
Okay, so then
go ahead.
So with all of those statistics, and how my next question would be then how do you explain the millions of African Americans who have gone to college using student loans?
Oh, not the student loans. Now, the great thing, we hear this talking point every day in social media. Student loans are the major contributors to debt. Have you ever looked at somebody's credit score when they've gone to college? The bulk of the negative accounts on their credit score, in fact, is their student loans. Student loans are the only debt that you cannot charge off, you cannot escape, you cannot even die and escape it. It will go and be passed down to your children. Student loans are a trap set up by the government. Don't ever get that twisted, fam.
Mm-hmm. So, hey, Robbie, I got a question for you. I just want to make sure I understand what you're saying. So if I'm misunderstanding, you correct me. Are you implying that SATs and AP tests and all of that, are you implying that they're racist? Or are you agreeing that it's just classes?
No, what I'm saying is when you go to school, your whole entire formative education through primary and secondary school is to prepare you for those tests. So if you go into a school system where you are not given adequate textbooks, where the teacher to student ratio is disproportionate, so the teacher actually cannot teach the students because she's too busy having to navigate the multiple personalities of a classroom. It is
that's why you pay for private school.
Systematic.
Hold on. Let her go. Let her cook. Go ahead. Let her cook.
It is a
I want to say something after Robbie. Go ahead.
It is a system set up so that these children will never be adequately prepared. They start running state tests at what, first and second grade, and they are always comparing the numbers. Comparing the numbers to what? Comparing the numbers to schools that have nutrition programs that are not limited. So even on a nutritional level, which you actually need adequate nutrition and hydration in order for your brain to function properly, is skewed against them. Do you know what the average budget is for meals and nutrition in impoverished schools? It is $1.30.
So Robbie, so I agree with the premise you're saying here. What you're saying here, I agree with, right? That in terms of, if you have, lack of resources, etc., it's not a good preparation for you. Like there has to be a lot of overcompensating done for you to be able to get over that hurdle. Like for example, the middle school I went to, it actually got shut down because of how bad the school overall was, right? Like my middle school no longer exists, right? So I understand what you're saying. But ultimately, a lot of those issues, though, right, they still come right back to the community. And when I say community, I'm not necessarily just saying the community like the students and the parents. I'm saying like even the elected officials, like the people y'all elect.
Man, I thought you was going somewhere.
Yes. You said what?
I thought you were about to ask the question. Go ahead.
That's why you pay for private school. I mean, my daughter couldn't read, and my girl put her in private school. Both my daughters go to private school, and they have a better chance of being successful.
Can I just finish my point? Like if you look at some of these budgets, these education budgets, like even like Baltimore City, for example, you look at their education budget. I was actually surprised to see how much money they're basically wasting. And these kids are getting a very poor education. So, a lot of it does come down to who are these people electing? And what happens is, and I don't want to make this a Democrat versus a Republican, because for a lot of things, they're pretty much different sides of the same coin. But when it comes to those core issues, it does actually matter, because a lot of people you end up electing, right? They're the ones who end up mismanaging these budgets. They don't actually take care of the people. They go against school choice, like all the things that would actually benefit these kids. These people go against it, right? These people vote, like these communities vote for the people who effectively end up going against the things that would actually help the students.
Jay Bizzle, I thought you were going to ask her the question. The two important questions I really thought you were going to ask is that I was enjoying what she was saying, because the only thing she's neglecting to tell us is where's the money come from that these impoverished schools need.
I told you exactly where the money came from. If you were, actually listening to what I said instead of waiting for the opportunity to speak, you might have heard me. The funding for schools comes from property taxes. Now, to answer what you were saying, I can agree to a point, because there is mismanagement of funds and budget allocations everywhere you go, right? And some of that is due to the people that are in charge. Some of it is just poor financial planning. However, in areas that have higher property taxes, there is more money to mismanage. So let's say you got Karen and Becky and them, and they said, you know what, guys, we're going to take $30,000 from the school budget and we're going to throw ourselves a party. that's not really making a dent. As opposed to if you're taking like $30,000 out of, you know what I'm saying, Baltimore school district, that's going to be a heavier hit. And of course, I'm being, you know what I'm saying, a little extra.
But Robbie, here's what I'm highlighting though. Here's what I'm highlighting though. Like for example, the latest education budget in Baltimore City, I believe, is almost close to $2 billion for 2023 to 2024. It's almost close to $2 billion, right? And when you actually then look at their rankings and you look at how poorly, and most of Baltimore City, it's mostly black. And I think the number one issue, well, one of the main issues is that, for example, in most of these inner city communities, right, they elect people, let's say, for example, who go against school choice. And yet school choice would be one of the main solutions to these problems. Because when these people, the problem with the budget mismanagement is that when you can
JB, you're cutting out.
When you can mismanage the budget, right? When you can mismanage the budget and there's no repercussions, and you can just keep doing that year over year, right? Because you don't have to compete. There's no competition because effectively, again, the parents are not afforded any choice. So when you don't have
clarification, you're talking about charter schools, school choice?
I disagree, JB. I think parents
you're talking about charter schools, right? When you talk about school choice, you're talking about choosing between public or charter schools.
I mean, you want your kids to succeed, pay for education.
Charter schools, not necessarily just
charter school level. Parents have choice. The reality is, a lot of parents are lazy.
What choice do they have?
Listen to what I'm saying. A lot of parents are lazy because a lot of parents refuse to be involved in the parent-teacher organization. They refuse.
So it's not the white man's fault then.
First of all, don't.
Great thing. Let her rock. Just Robbie, finish saying what you're saying. I want to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I can't stand when people do that. So again, parents don't participate in the parent-teacher organizations because this is generational and it's passed down. And the lack of education makes the fortitude and wherewithal to start like kind of investigating and looking at how people are handling your money. It performs at a diminished capacity in areas where the overall trajectory of education has been staunchly minimized.
No, I think Robbie, you're right.
Okay, but if you have the designer bags and you can't pay for education, what are your priorities at?
Robbie, you're right that it starts at home. Listen, you already know where I stand on that. But what I'm saying is ultimately, if you end up basically, if you have no choice in the matter, right? It really does not matter what the parents do at home. Like, well, it does matter what the parents do at home. Sorry, I want to make sure I'm clear on this. What the parents do at home does matter. What I'm saying is that ultimately, if the school itself does not have to make changes, right, because they can't be compelled to make changes because they don't have to compete, right? They don't have to do anything, right? If they can just keep mismanaging year over year, you can do the best you can do as a parent at home, but your kid is still lacking resources within the school system, right? And they still have to go to school with the rest of these kids that are also then a bad influence on them, et cetera. The teachers that really don't give two fucks, et cetera, et cetera. You know, like when I was in middle school, for example, I had a teacher that would literally, at my middle school, she would literally come to class and basically let us do whatever we want for the entire year. We did nothing, right? We accomplished nothing. And as a kid, I enjoyed that, right? I'm not gonna lie. As a kid, I enjoyed that. In hindsight, I'm like, yo, that's fucked up. Like, that's actually fucked up, right? This teacher just came in to collect a check, but the only reason she could do that is because of how that system is set up, right? So there's nothing you can actually do as a parent to change that.
Actually, JB, that's not true. I'm gonna just say this part real quick, and I gotta go. I've like low key made it to my destination. Wait.
You made it to your destination right when I was about to cook you, but I'll let it slide. Go ahead.
Oh, great, Dane. You can catch me, you know what I'm saying, on my channel or anywhere else. Just look for me. Hey, but no, parents can do something to change that because they can start pulling up in the classrooms. If your kid goes to school, pull up.
And do what?
And sit in the classroom and observe, because I'm going to tell you something.
And then what next, Robbie? What else? Once you observe and you see what's happening, what do you do next?
Oh, you're not.
Because again, what I'm saying is ultimately, if the school, Robbie, you know how many parents?
Even let me finish, Jay Bizzle.
Okay, you're right. Go ahead.
So you pull up to your children's classes, and then you bring other parents to pull up and observe as well. You take it to the superintendent. You mobilize and you make things happen. You get on these councils, start going and putting in applications, participate in government. You have to actually get up off of the couch and be involved with your children's lives. That's how you make a change.
Robbie,
like,
you're saying that. Robbie, you're saying the same thing again. I'm not disagreeing with that part, but again,
But
the key part
she's
the key part I'm highlighting,
correct.
Robbie, you're skipping past this, right? But this is very important. The key part I'm highlighting is, again, you could go to the superintendent if ultimately you don't actually have a choice, right? You don't actually have a choice at the end of the day. You can make as much noise, and guess what? We have communities making noise all across the country, and they still have the same damn school with the same mismanagement. It happens every day. The only time when parents can actually do something is when they actually have a choice.
That's not the entire thing. She's actually correct to a degree, because Moms for America.
And I really gotta go. I have a child that has autism. There are a lot of things that were not available to him because he's special needs. What did I do? I raised hell, went to the superintendents. When the superintendents weren't doing what they needed to do, what did I do next? I went down to City Hall and I filled out an application. And what do I do now? I sit on a parent advisory committee for the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Centers for Disease Control, and the state of Arkansas for children with special needs. Parents can do anything they put their mind to. You have to get up and fight for your children. Let's do that. Anyway, I love y'all. Whatever. I gotta go. Bye.
Hey, peace out, Robbie. Hey, Great Dan. I'm gonna go too. Wait. I'm gonna go too. Great Dan. I just want to say this because I really felt like you were saying some interesting things, right? But the issue that I have with what I like to call, and no offense to you, but like I like to call it like Candace Owens blacks, right? Is that it's like
you mean the productive blacks?
Okay. Well, JB. Hey, JB. I don't want to get into it with you, but hold on 1 second. I just want to say this, right? Like, I feel that you guys' perspectives are correct when it comes to Black people and how particularly Black people have been taken advantage of by the Democratic Party. I think you guys make great points. You're right when you make those points. However, I think that there is a bias as well, because when you make a statement like, oh, if you just you don't need affirmative action. If you just work hard and pull yourselves up by your bootstraps, then everybody can make it, right? But that is only applied when it comes to you, Candace Owens blacks. It's only applied to Black people. Because earlier, Aaron was making a point, Great Dan, about these large corporations like Walmart having insurance in case of theft, right? And you were highly in support of that. Yeah, they should have the insurance. But if everybody could just work hard and make it no matter what, then my question to you is, why do they need that insurance for theft? That theft shouldn't matter, because they could just work hard in case their products get stolen. They should just keep working hard. They don't need the insurance, right? So why do you
is this a serious question?
So why do you believe that they need the insurance for that, but you don't understand why Black people needed affirmative action?
Well, because the affirmative action is not insurance in case white people are racist. And affirmative action, what that really did was it forces companies, regardless of their nationality, because it's any company that operates within the U.S. You have Chinese-owned companies, you have other Asian-owned companies, African. You have companies of all different nationalities that operate in the United States. The intent was to create equal opportunity for everybody. That's not an insurance program. That's not what that is. An insurance program would be, well, you can sue in case of discrimination. Discrimination laws, in going back after the fact, that's more of an insurance program. But Walmart, in the case of Walmart, they have built themselves. They weren't always the big conglomerate they are today. They built themselves. They pulled themselves up by the bootstraps and built themselves into who they are today. And it's like you all think that Walmart and these other companies have this magical Caucasian dust that everything's going to work out. Yet Toys R Us out of business, Kmart out of business. There are plenty of quote unquote white-owned companies. Yeah, there's plenty of white-owned companies that went out of business. So the white supremacy dust that you guys want to sprinkle, and I'm not saying this disrespectfully, but that's kind of what it seems like. The white people, they just great at everything.
Great thing. The thing with affirmative action is, I think it's nuanced, right? Because I think that the issue I have with the Blackity Blacks is that they had. Here's the thing: when affirmative action, right, was established, I think there was actually a legitimate need for it, right? I think what happens though is when you establish stuff like this, there has to be an end date. And what it basically becomes this forever thing where people just become victims forever, no matter how much progress has been made, right? So when it was established, I think there was a legitimate need for it. You can actually make a strong defense for affirmative action at the time that it was established. Now, in 2023, every time I ask Black people this, right, they get in their feelings and they call me Uncle Tom, they call me a coon, but they can never actually give me legitimate answers. What is holding you back today in 2023? Right? I just need to know what's holding you back. What can a white man do that you can't do? What's holding you back today?
Because you talked about an end date. Because you talked about an end date.
Hold up. I'm not done, right? Because you can make, like, I never dismiss the past, right? You can make legitimate arguments for the past, right? You can, like, for example, I'm a conservative who also understands that there was actually a legitimate need for the Black Panthers, right? Now, a lot of conservatives don't agree with me on that, and I'm fine with that. But I understand that because I understand they were living in different times. But we're not living in the same times they were living in, except these Blackity Blacks, they act like they're, especially these Blackity Blacks who call themselves revolutionaries, who think they're revolutionaries, they act like they're living in the same times that, you know, Fred Hampton was living in. And it's just crazy. You're not. So what is holding you back today?
JB, can I please say something? JB, you said, and I think you're right in what you said, that the whole affirmative action thing, there needed to be an end date, which is true. I 100% agree with that, man. But let me ask you, what's the end date on rich non-Black families paying their children through college so that other people who are smarter than their kids, whether they're Black or whatever, don't have an opportunity because those rich kids are filling up them spots? What's the end date on that?
I can answer you easily. I can answer you easily.
Okay, so then there should never be an end date on affirmative action.
Let me answer you. I think the same thing that's happening in affirmative action should happen in legacy admissions. So you're not gonna get any disagreement. You're not gonna get any disagreement from me on that. Like, I actually think the same exact thing.
I mean, I actually don't have an issue with legacy because
hold on. I gotta go. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Aaron. Great day, and it was great debating with you. JB, it's been a long time. God bless you.
Come over to my channel sometimes, man.
All right.
Oh yeah, sure. Thank you. See you.
So let me read this super chat, and I'm gonna play this clip for you guys because this actually might be interesting to you guys. Dirty Dude said, in West Virginia, born and raised on West Virginia, which is 3% Black, and even through the state as a whole, is far behind in education. In the Cap City, the so-called Black area is even further behind. I don't know if that's an indication of whether, I don't know what that means. But I read across this clip, and I want you guys to tell me what you think about it, right? Let me update this. And there we go.
8 states in the United States, and I'll list them off to you. California, Florida, Michigan, Nebraska, Arizona, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, and Idaho have banned using race as a factor in college admissions. California was the first. It did that by referendum. What has been California's lived experience since then? And this was briefed to the court. In the UC system, University of California system, its most selective schools, it saw a 50% drop almost immediately in admissions for Black and Latino students. And the University of California system has tried to figure out a way to increase those numbers after taking race out of the consideration process. It has been unable to find a formula, a holistic formula, a non-formulaic formula. That's some of the terminology presented to the court to raise those numbers. So it had an immediate effect, and it has not rebounded since. And that is something that was briefed to the court, that there are real world examples where if you take race out of the equation in any way, shape, or form, it is very hard to reach these goals of diversity that colleges, either private or public, have set for themselves. 8 states.
That's a good one.
That's a great thing.
They're doing
that's
that.
A great thing. I think that's a great thing. I think that's a great thing. And
they're doing that to fuck with the Chinese and the Indians, if you're being honest. But go ahead.
Okay, I think that's actually a good thing, Aaron, because ultimately this is going, because here's the issue that we've arrived at now, is that initially affirmative action could be argued to have been because there were actual barriers, right? Actual tangible barriers that you could highlight. Initially, you could use the argument that it was, a filter, let's just say, for I don't want to say a filter, but you could say basically it was a way to provide equal opportunity. Today, it's become more of like an equal outcomes thing, right? So you can have kids that basically students that are not really qualified, that would not qualify, but because now their race is being used as a factor, now they want to meet whatever certain internal quotas that they want to meet. Now that race, that factor, their race being used as a factor is what actually allows them to get into this university, right? So I think, and ultimately, by the way, and this has been proven, a lot of these Black students, they actually end up, even if they graduate at the bottom of their classes a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
This has been proven. So what this is going to force is going to force people to actually, like, I mean, Aaron, let's be honest, bro. If you look at, I told you about that documentary. I don't know if you watched it, right? With the Asian kids. If you see how hard these Asian kids work from freshman year to be able to get into a college, and then I'm telling you, as somebody who went to high school with a bunch of Black kids, I know only one Black girl that went to my high school that I could say really worked her ass off, right, to get into the best college. One Black girl, if I'm being honest, right? Most of these kids don't.
That's what I'm trying to create for my daughters. Make sure that
if you have
give them a chance.
students that are working since freshman year, working their butt off, their number one focus is I need to get into Harvard. I need to get into even if it's not Harvard, right? And then you have these kids that are not doing the same shit, right? That are not, like, for the Asian kids, a 3.8 GPA is still not enough, right? But then you have these kids that are barely getting 3.0 GPAs, and they still expect to get the same results. Nah, they're gonna have to actually step their game up now. I think that's a good thing. We need to stop letting this. To me, this falls in line with the soft bigotry of low expectations. We allow ourselves to basically be viewed as this, like, almost like you gotta get this handout. No, you need to work just as hard now. The same way these Asian kids are working hard, you need to work just as hard. Otherwise, you don't get in. It is what it is. I think that's a good thing. And then people who want to get in, they're gonna elevate. They're gonna actually now understand I can't just waste 2 years of my high school years and start worrying about college in my junior year. I need to actually start from my freshman year. From my freshman year, I need to start making sure I'm doing everything possible to get in the best college. And if you don't, then you don't get in. Simple
But you would wish your parents pushed you more, right?
JB, I think it's something completely different. I think
it's gonna be good.
I think they just don't have the ability. I mean, some people just don't have the ability to do good things in the world. And I mean, nobody is walking around asking why there aren't more white people in the NBA. Nobody is walking around asking why there aren't more, Asians playing offensive line in the NFL. Why can't this just come down to ability and natural interest and people's ability to do certain things? I mean, where are all the pygmies who are chess champions? I mean, not everybody can do everything. Even university is a beginning point. In a university, you have to pick a major, and from that major, you have to develop a certain skill set. It's like YouTube. Does everybody have the ability to come onto YouTube and speak on these panels? No. So why then would we think that? Why are we trying to mass produce success? I just don't understand. I look at it as something. I look at it as some people just don't have good ability, and that's just what it is.
And I think it's more political, because I think you gotta understand. I mean, I'm the last person to bring up race about stuff, but a lot of that has to deal with, you have these Indians, Chinese, Asians. They're coming in, and they're outperforming a lot of our own homebred people when it comes to tech, when it comes to a lot of these STEM fields. So I think a lot of that has to deal with it, because even going back to this clip that Aaron just played is very similar to the topic that the girl was talking about. What's her name? The one who was just up here. I forgot what. Yeah, Robbie. So the point that she was making was, and this ties into legacy too. It's not about race. It's all about money. And I mean, the legacy thing, that's about money. That's not really about race. Now, you can argue the origins of that money, and you can make the racial whatever. It's going to be hard to do that. But at the end of the day, you know, if you have a black person with multiple millions of dollars, which you do, they do the same shit. It's just not talked about because they're black and there's not as many of them as there are whites. But even beyond that, going back to something, I can't remember who said it, but it was just now, it does start when you're in high school. What the 9% does, not the 0.1%, not the 0.5% of the 1%, the 9%. The 9%, these are your six-figure earners. They're your doctors, lawyers, salesmen, high-level professionals. What they do is they concentrate their wealth, and is regardless of race, because there are Asians in that category, Hispanics, blacks, whites. They're just more whites because of proportion. But what they do is they get into these neighborhoods, they get on city council, they create economic moats to make it hard for other people to come in and compete with their kids, regardless of race. And they do that to solidify their kids' future. So you even have, like, let's say in Georgia, in Atlanta, they have a section of Atlanta called Sandy Springs. Sandy Springs created their own town, and they pulled all of their resources into this town. There's a place here in Charleston, called Mount Pleasant. Charleston's broken up into like different. You have Charleston 1 and 2, and so where Mount Pleasant is, there's specific neighborhoods where Park West, they have their own school. They have a primary school, middle school, and an elementary school. I went to 2 of those. Very nice school, top-rated school. But it was in a really good area, and that's done on purpose, not because of race, but because that is what rich people do. Now, when I went to middle school, which is in North Charleston, middle school that used to be called Alice Burney, it shut down eventually. That school was in an impoverished neighborhood, so to speak. But that's not about race.
Why is the neighborhood impoverished?
The neighborhood is impoverished because the property values are low, because the people don't take care of their properties, or there's high crime.
Okay, hold on, guys. There's another piece here. There's another piece here that we should address, by the way. That
we just missed a home run right here. Hold on a second, JB. Well, it's the people. You can say it's not the location; it's the people. Somebody's success is just as much determining of the people around them as it is their self. Sandy Springs looks the way that it does because it has good people in that neighborhood. That Bankhead looks the way that it does because of the people in that neighborhood. And it's the people that mess stuff up. You can say that this starts in high school. I think it starts. JB, are you familiar with the organization called Mensa?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that doesn't start in high school. Okay, they're on you. They're on you from the break, from like elementary school. And so I just think that this is more about people and their ability versus, like, you can introduce all the legislation you want. Neighborhoods are going to look the way that they do because of the people and their behaviors in those neighborhoods.
So then do you feel, because I understand your argument and I do agree, but the issue is to what extent, because if you're going to say it's the people, remember, there are people who believe, well,
but you can pay for education if it's a problem in the neighborhood. You can pay for that. What are you guys talking about?
I don't understand.
Hold up, because I don't want us to get past this, right? Because there's an important thing about the affirmative action that I actually wanted to bring up. So one piece of nuance that, because everybody likes to approach these topics emotionally, they don't like to look at it holistically, right? So there's something about the legacy admissions that, as much as I actually am in favor of getting rid of legacy admissions as well, right? But there's actually a huge benefit to legacy admissions that people overlook. And that huge benefit is actually the university endowments. Okay? So the universities, what actually keeps them elite, like keeps them at the elite status, keeps them to, like, allows them to have, the best types of programs, etc., is their endowments. That's what keeps them at that status. And ironically, the same people saying, like the same people who want to go to Harvard, right, don't understand that Harvard is like one of the wealthiest in terms of their endowment. I think their endowment is almost like $50 billion, right? And all of that money, or not all of it, but most of that money comes from people, the legacy admissions people. It comes from the legacy admissions and alumni, right? It's those. So basically, if you get rid of a legacy admission, suddenly you basically drastically reduce how much they are able to bring in to their endowments, which also,
and there goes your scholarships.
There goes your scholarships. And so this is why, again, I always try to tell people, no matter how you feel about something, try to look at it holistically, try to look at it logically. But unfortunately, Black people just cannot do that. They always in their feelings. So,
well, one thing we can all agree on is that it's not the white man's fault. We can all agree on that.
Well, I think that there are some things. I think that liberalism,
something, but not
liberalism is not an African ideology. It's not a Latino ideology. The idea that egalitarianism, which is what everybody's trying to achieve, we're trying to make everybody equal. When you leave America, nobody's striving for equality. When you leave the Western world, they very much understand that certain groups of people are going to be better at certain things. I just think that it's white people's and Black people now jumping onto it. Well, I don't think Black people, I just think they're being opportunistic. This egalitarianism, right? Like this, we want to make everybody the same, and you just can't do that.
Yeah, no, I can agree with you on that. I mean, I do. It is, a lot of it does come down to personal choice, but I mean, if we're talking about, you know, what's happening in a technical sense from a macro level, I mean, it has a lot to do with economics. And I mean, even beyond that, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, if I was in the position of these legacy people and I had, you know, multiple millions or billions of dollars or whatever, I would be doing the same shit. I'm not even gonna sit here and lie to you. I would be doing the same exact shit.
To Patriarchy's point, by the way, I got a perfect example for you in Atlanta. So in Atlanta, there's this town, this city that basically they created called South Fulton, right? South Fulton. So they decided to, you know, it's basically a city run by Black people, right? And,
I heard about this.
Yes, and South Fulton, I always refer to it as like it's the perfect example of what I would call the Black experiment, right? It's a town run entirely by Black people. Their police force is entirely Black. Like it's entirely Black, and guess what? It's one of the worst. Like it was recently founded. Okay, it was founded within the last 5 years, I think. Okay. And it's one of the worst places to be. Like, it's one of the worst places crime wise. I mean, their mayor was like literally just arrested like last week or something, right, for trespassing. Like their own fucking mayor. It's one of the worst towns, and it actually makes me sad sometimes when you realize just like, why is it that every community that's majority Black just seems to have the same patterns every fucking time, right? Like you would think it would be that place you think would be, you know, little Wakanda, and instead it's like the place that you got to make sure you lock your doors when you know what I'm saying. If you're in South Point, you got to make sure you lock your doors. You know what I'm saying? Don't stop at the gas station. Just stay the fuck away from there.
Hey yo,
I mean, that's true.
What up, panel? Yo, JB, I just came up here for the ignorance. Nah, I will ask you this. So when we talk about education, that correlates to home ownership, right? And home ownership correlates to a tax base. Okay, listen to what I'm saying. Home ownership correlates to a tax base that can afford the education. That's how the American education is funded, off of the tax base of the homeowners, right?
No, what you're doing is you're trying to compare derivatives versus behavior, right?
No, I'm not talking about
let me finish. So what you'll do is, like, we hear the pro-Blacks. You need better arguments. We hear.
Why I gotta be pro-Black, dog?
I'm not talking about. You're presenting the. Let me make the argument you're gonna make. You're gonna say Aaron, that it's systematic. No, but this is just, like, I know these arguments. They're very
not saying
elementary.
All I was
the tax
gonna say
base leads to the funding of the schools, right?
No,
that's what you're gonna say. Well, yes, let me just say that. Yeah, I know. I know that's what you're gonna say because we've heard it before.
And I was gonna say, let's promote home ownership, and maybe this shit
you
gets
can't
better.
Promote home ownership when you have bad behavior. See, that's what people think. They think if they pass some institutional, it's your behavior. Why don't you want to focus on correcting people's behavior? Of course, you don't have good home ownership when you blow more consumer income than anybody else and you have bad credit. That's behavior.
I just gave you the two bases. I just said education. I just said education is. You get your education.
Some people don't want to be educated. Some people don't want to be educated.
That is not behavior.
Some people do not want to be educated.
So then what are you talking about then? This shit ain't gonna never change then.
Absolutely.
Behavior.
It won't ever change. Until we realize, no, you can't. Not in a society like this. You can't unless you force people to do it. I recognize that some people will never change, and stop saying that it's some systematic institutional thing.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Yes, you did. You said that home ownership leads to home ownership. You're making it home ownership leads to
Everyone has a
education
chance if you give it the chance to in a nice fancy school.
Hold on. Yo. See, this is what I don't like. This is what I don't like. You being too smart,
but you can't
you
make
being
it think.
too smart, dog.
What does being too smart mean, dude?
He's being too smart. Okay, you being too smart, you're dumb. So this works for everybody else but black people. The home ownership correlates in the income and education level always correlates to the type of education and the type of community that is presented. Am I wrong?
Yes.
I don't think I am.
Yes.
I don't think you don't have millionaire ghettos, dog.
Yes, you are.
You don't have millionaire ghettos.
You don't have millionaire ghettos, but hold on a second. That's because ghetto people can't make millions. See, once again, you're thinking it's the outside because of their habits and the way they live their life. That's what you refuse
you don't need
to
millions
address.
to get an education. What are you talking about?
That's why I based it off of education. We promote education.
People do not. We've been promoting it for. Do you know how many billions and do you know how many trillions of dollars?
So why you
America
up here?
spent?
Why you up here? It's never gonna
I was
work.
up here first. Old dirty bastard.
It don't matter.
Yo, New York in the house.
Yo,
it's
you
Brooklyn
corny,
in the
dog.
house.
You corny, dog. You not
in
funny.
The
house.
you
not funny.
And Brooklyn in
I seen
the
your stand
house.
up. No laughter.
But you watched
no
it.
laughter.
But
I
you
seen your
watched it.
stand up.
I know
no
you
laughter.
like it. I know you like
laugh.
it. I know you like
One at a
it.
time.
But you ain't got one. Yo, quarter water.
Nobody's laughing at you right now. You know that, right? You know what you just did wasn't funny.
Quarter water.
You know what you did just
water.
wasn't
Quarter water.
That's funny to you.
I also need my education. I also need my education. Yo, dog. Yo, son. Yo, if we just fund the homes, yo. If we still fund the schools, dog. Yo, if we fund PS 115, dog, we get off the block, dog. I can
still wear boot cut jeans, nigga.
I can wear my Timberland boots in the office building, dog. I can wear my Timberland boots in the office building, dog.
Why do you wear boot cut jeans, nigga?
Yo, let me get a glizzy, son.
Let's talk about that.
I want to walk into an office with my fitted on, B.
38 boot cut jeans, nigga.
I want to walk in the office with my fitted on, son. Yo, Mr. White Man, if you just give me some more money,
that is literally
give me some more money, dog. I swear I'll go to school, dog.
That is literally you.
Son?
I seen your stand up, nigga.
If you a big fan of my stand up, yo, son.
No, I'm not. You're not funny. No get.
Yo.
Oh man, bro.
That was wild. That was wild, man. Aaron, you muted, Doc. You muted, man.
Yo, if they just give us some more funding, we swears we gonna go to school, son.
Eric, come on, bro. Like, yo.
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
I'm still wearing skinny jeans in 2023, B.
Come on, y'all. Let's move on.
I got my fake shit from Canal Street, son.
I'm not even in.
I live with roaches and rats in New York, son.
We got to be the funny nigga. I'm a dirty ass
immigrant from the banana boat,
That's
son.
Funny to you. You think you funny?
Y'all, let's move on.
Yo, Aaron, I didn't come up here on that type of time.
Yes, you did.
How did I? How did I? See, this is not what we're gonna do. I didn't come up here on that type of time. I said a statement. I didn't shit on nobody. I fucked around with JB, then I got into some serious shit. I didn't do nothing disrespectful. So let's stop playing that game. I just said education funds a certain type of tax base.
Education funds? Isn't it the tax base funds education?
No, the education comes from the tax base or jobs.
That means the tax base would fund the education. Where'd you go to school? Where'd you go to school?
Dog.
Where'd you go to college?
Listen, dog.
Where'd you go to school? What'd you major in?
The more people who are educated.
What did you see this? A dumb nigga giving us advice on education.
I'm not explaining myself to you because you would assume I'm not college educated.
You're not. I assume that you're an absolute idiot. I assume you fit the description. I assume when anybody hears your voice, they don't want to give you a job. They think that you're begging for change.
Okay, let's have you can have Eric, have your fun with me.
No, so it's not. It's the truth.
So tell me how these other immigrant populations. So let's peep this. When these other immigrant populations come in, they didn't know no English. They didn't know nothing. What did they push first?
Businesses,
handouts.
No, they really? They businesses. They didn't get rich off their businesses. They got rich off of educating their children. They got rich off of educating their children.
So hold on.
And their children took it to the next level. Their children took.
But how did they get the money? First,
all right, we're not doing that. It's called scholarship. So you telling me the nigga who owns the Chinese store, one singular Chinese store is worth $3 million? He don't even own that building. He just owns that business.
Okay, but just because he doesn't own the building doesn't mean he doesn't have any wealth. That could just mean that just lowers his operating costs. No, you literally don't have wealth. You literally don't have wealth if you don't have property. So that's that funny money. That's that funny money shit. No,
that's the only investment you can make, Great Dane. There's no vehicles of investment outside of real estate. You're right.
I didn't say that.
I figured the guy that lives in the same city as the New York Stock Exchange has
niggas buy. Okay, let's get off of that.
Why?
I'm going off.
Y'all still wear skinny jeans in New York.
Hold on. Can I say this real quick?
Pookie does have one point. Does have a point though, right? Like at least if I understand what he's saying, like for example, I used to be many years ago. I used to be roommates with these Taiwanese guys, right? And
were they spies?
You said what?
Were they spies?
Their parents wasn't rich.
Nah, listen. And one of the things like I learned is how, like one of them, for example, his parents gave up everything, like literally everything, for him to be able to make it from Taiwan to come to America, and specifically just for him to be able to go to school in Boston and at UMass Boston, and like basically his parents were left with nothing, but they were putting all.
I'm hearing you. I heard what he said.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think
you dropped off.
Hey, Pookie, I got a question for you.
Nah, see, you want to play games.
Y'all still wearing skinny jeans in New York?
Yo, no. Are you still wearing boot cuts?
Wait, can y'all hear
me? Still wearing boot cuts,
baggier jeans are in style.
You still wearing boot cuts?
So are you still? Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Because baggy jeans are in style. Are you still wearing skinny jeans?
No,
they're not. They're not. Hold on a second. They're not.
I seen your whole video. You not fly or funny.
They're not.
You not fly or funny, dog.
All right, so Aaron, can I just finish my point? Yo, Aaron looks like he's sick and tired of this shit. my only point was this: is that like I've heard a lot of these stories over the years, right? Like where this kid basically his family, his parents literally gave up everything, right? Gave up everything and just gave him a little bit of money for him to be able to come to America and go to school. Like he got in on a student visa, I believe, right? And he was able to come to America. And they put all of their hopes, like literally everything was riding on this kid being able to go to college, right? Everything was riding on that. And that seems to be a very common story. So I think if that was Pookie's point, that the number one thing they prioritize is education, I think he's right. Because I've heard this story at this point, especially like even with the Indians, right? I've met a lot of Indians, same story, right? Like it's a very common story. So if that was Pookie's point that they prioritize education, I think he's right.
Yeah,
because
JB thinks education alone is.
No, I didn't say that. You assume it. I didn't say that. I just coupled a bunch of different things together: education, career, tax, home ownership, tax base. So don't just say education alone. So to JB's point. To JB's point. Hold on. To JB.
Saving.
Listen. Come on. Let's have a conversation. To JB's point. When that child gets his education, he doesn't say my father is the CEO. He says my father owns a dry cleaning spot. He sacrificed for me. His child builds on his legacy.
Well, that's what happens when you take care of your kids and don't leave them out in the streets unclaimed.
All right, come on. You
no,
talking
once
some
again,
other shit.
no, I'm talking about habits. Nobody's paying attention to people's behavior and habits. When you spend all your money on fake clothes from Canal Street, when you don't take care of your children,
you want to be dumb,
it's
dog.
your
I don't
habit.
know. I don't even know about
I'm
that.
not dumb. I'm not dumb. I'm not
dog.
dumb. I'm not.
You
You're
think
dumb.
you smart. You not funny.
Okay. Who's accomplished more, me or you?
You're better.
Okay.
You're a way better man than me.
100%.
Yes.
If me and you went up for a job, who would they because it's not a joke, it's the truth. Who would they most likely?
Why do you believe that? Why do you believe? I hate. If I showed you my resume, hold on. Let's really break this down, nigga. If I showed you my resume,
yourself.
If I showed you
how you speak, look at how you
nigga, I
present
talk
yourself.
like that to you, dumb niggas.
No, you can't code switch for shit.
I don't have
you
to.
Walk in, you walk
right.
in.
You why do I? Why?
Yeah.
Why
yep,
is
yep,
my?
Yep.
Why
you
is
living
my
off of my tax dollars? I guarantee you, my tax dollars are paying for you, bro.
You bugging.
I guarantee you.
You are bugging.
I guarantee you.
You are bugging.
Only
you
people.
Bugging, dog.
Only people like
I know how to get money. I know how to get money, nigga, and I ain't
even that last
where you
statement.
work at? Where you work at right now?
I know how to make. I know how to get money, yo. I know how to get money.
Let's break this down.
All of
What's your
that.
annual
All of
income,
that
nigga?
proves
Come
to
on,
everything I know about it.
What's your annual income?
What's my what?
What's your annual income?
0.
Yeah, nigga. Let's get what's
0.
your annual income, nigga?
0.
Yeah, you better than me, nigga.
0. 100%. I just told you.
You
0.
get more bread than me, nigga.
Yeah,
shut
that's
up,
right.
nigga.
I get more bread than me. Look at
this.
this.
No, you don't.
Another dumb New York nigga.
Sneakers.
Another dumb New York nigga.
You got sneakers up behind your back
with
screen,
nothing.
nigga. What kind of man are you? You got sneakers, nigga. I got a crib, nigga.
Where?
In California, LA.
Don't nobody in New York own a home? Okay. There ain't a single nigga from New York with a deed to a home. All y'all able to get is apartments.
Eric.
You don't own an automobile.
Okay, super
You don't own an automobile. You don't own nothing.
It's hurting you, Pookie, doing better than you, right?
No,
that
you
hurt
ain't.
your soul,
No,
right?
you
It hurt
ain't.
your soul, don't it,
Absolutely.
It hurt your soul, don't it, nigga? Look how I talk.
PPP loans.
Look how I talk. Nigga, you ain't better than me.
You out here arguing. Can I ask a question? Jesus Christ. Hey, y'all.
What's up, Venus?
What's happening?
I couldn't listen to that shit. It's too much masculinity. Good God, stop. Please.
No. That's not masculinity. That's educated lane. No, that's educated lane versus Pookie. That's what that was.
Nah, when
But
Eric
he's not.
I wanted to ask Eric a question though, because I wanted to know.
Go ahead.
Oh, Eric. So, do you feel like if a person doesn't speak perfectly, that they have no high earning potential, that they're not successful?
More than likely, no. No, more than likely, no. I mean, in order to be somebody that comes off as threatening or tough to other groups of people, it will be a turnoff to most other people.
What if you worked your way to a position where you work for yourself and you actually do earn above average, but you don't speak like the average?
And what industry?
Well, Pookie's a chef. I know that for sure.
A chef?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I mean, in general, like,
okay,
because that statement applies to everyone. I was thinking, like, damn. So if you
how you present your so if in this world, right, especially like when you get on these panels and I hear your perceptions on other races of people and how you deem other races of people your enemy, the white man this, the white man that, the whole mentality,
right?
It shows me your relationship with white people and other races of people to begin with. Because if you're somebody that's coming from the bottom, you're going to need alliances with other groups of people who don't look like you.
Exactly.
And if you're not educated, number one, on other people's, like everything about engaging in conversation with him tells me everything I need to know. From the way he carries himself to his mentality on why things are the way that they are. Because these conversations that he's having on here, I can guarantee you he's having them with other people in the real world. When you go to somebody who's different than you, and you're going to need people who are different than you in order to make it, right? Especially if you want to become something great. And they start hearing that it's all the system is against me, which is what he's saying. It doesn't work. Especially if you claim to be a group of people that are on the bottom. Especially.
So here's the other thing too. Here's the other thing too,
PS.
Venus, is that a lot of times, well, the number one thing I hear people say in response to this is that, well, you know, you can just start your own business, you can just do your own thing, right? Now, okay, that's cool if you're able to just do your business and not have to interact with other people. The problem is that if you have a business, you're gonna have customers, and maybe you're gonna even have business partnerships. You're gonna want to work with other organizations, etc. And so at that point, it's still all the same rules apply. Like they still want to make sure they don't want to like listen. Everybody has to assimilate at some level. At some point, everybody has to assimilate, right?
Agree.
And so what happens a lot of times? Hold up. What happens a lot of times is that what I've noticed personally with Black people is a lot of times Black people would rather die on a hill just to say, you know, I'm fighting the good fight, than learn to just assimilate so you can secure the bag and get the success that you need, right? But Black folks would rather die on that hill and just say, you know, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to talk like this. I'm going to keep my hair the way it is. I'm going to do all this. And they would rather die on that hill, even though everybody else, listen, no one else complains, right? The Asians will literally change their fucking name just to assimilate. Okay, they'll literally they'll change their whole name. Okay, literally their whole identity. They just fucking change that shit just to assimilate so they can secure the bag. But you're gonna have Black people complaining and bitching and moaning that they can't keep their locks, they can't do this, they can't do that, right? And so ultimately you die on the worst, not you specifically, but I a lot of times it's just dying on the wrong hill.
Yeah.
So if you
and another thing, if you're starting a business, right? In order for you to get to big level. Okay, so you have a sole proprietorship, right? That's like a one-person business. You own some hair salon, or you sell waist trainers, or whatever these people are doing these days, right?
Like the
but if you want to expand, you're gonna need financing. You're gonna need there's no person who's super rich that does not have to deal with partners. You're gonna have to. I had a business when I was 19. The first two things that you're going to need is an accountant and a lawyer. So you're going to have to understand people from the legal field. You're going to have to understand people from the financial world. And you're going to have to understand something about the law and something about accounting if you're going to run a business. Also, in order to make your business expand, you're going to need to work with several different groups of people to do several different things. And so
let me say something. So the reality is everyone who starts a business is not going to be super rich or even successful, right? So starting a business doesn't necessarily mean you're going to always expand into this huge corporation, right? There are people who run businesses and they make $80K a year and they're okay with that, right? That's fine too.
That's horrible.
So that's not horrible.
Well, you can't
survive on 80K a year. Where 80K a year is not a lot in the Midwest.
You can look. I have 3 LLCs. I've started 4 of my own businesses. I've done them all myself. You don't. There's different segments. You guys are talking about, when you're talking about business, you're talking about like the big corporations like Amazon.
Right.
Yeah, but
everyone's not gonna be that.
But you have people who are making, let's use the YouTube business model. You have people on YouTube who are making millions of dollars a year, and they have just a basic not a basic, but they have an LLC. And they have normal business operating expenses and accounts and whatnot, but they don't have this massive operation. You can have a small business making millions of dollars a year.
It's not about like you're talking about a bunch of stuff that doesn't matter, right? Like what I'm talking about, it doesn't even matter if it's LLC. Matter? Listen, it doesn't matter if it's LLC, sole proprietorship. Those are just business structures. None of that means shit. What I'm talking about is ultimately, you're not, unless you're gonna run your business in a vacuum. Okay, if you got to deal with other people like, the first thing that people are gonna deal with is the first impressions that they get from you, right? And if they listen to you, right, even just the way you talk, right, and they get turned off by that for whatever reason, then that's a potential client you just lost, and they're never gonna tell you.
But
they're never gonna tell you that, right? So even the simplest business, let's say you're a web designer and you're just like, I got my little LLC, or I'm just a sole proprietor, however you structure it, doesn't matter, right? But you got to build websites for people. And let's say I'm coming and I'm saying I want a website, but I don't know, I don't like how you sound. And that may sound silly, but that may sound silly, but people make decisions off their emotions. Like, that's the first filter, is how you feel about the person. And then the next filter is the logical and whatnot. So you got to make sure that the first impression, that you make the best first impression. And a big part of that like I said, for Black people that I've noticed a lot of Black folks struggle with is learning how to operate in that environment. And somebody took an example. I saw somebody in the chat took an example. Young Jay took an example. I was going to take that example. Jay-Z is a perfect example. If you listen to Jay-Z, right, when he's getting interviewed for business, and then you listen to Jay-Z when he's just, talking his rap shit and all that, it's two different people. Two different people. You can tell. No,
but
there's
different.
Jay-Z
There's
don't
levels
speak
to that. Jay-Z's dealing
English.
with.
He doesn't.
But he's dealing with multi-billion-dollar investors. That's a totally different world. But I understand your point. But going back to you all's original comment, let's say with the real Pookie guy, just because that's his personality. There are people who would pay him millions of dollars a year to go on TV with that kind of personality. Like or in my profession.
That's a niche,
I
bro.
deal with
that's
no,
great.
but it's more
we're
more than
speaking
just
in generalities.
You're right.
I
He
know.
could be a company mascot. I got it. I got you.
Wait,
Well,
I
not
wanted
even
to
just a
say something else though, real quick.
But for the rest of us, for people who are actually, there is difference. This is going to go back to something I said before. There are differences amongst people, even amongst Black people. There are Black people. We brought up Atlanta. There are Black people that would not deal with somebody like. No, I'm not trying to be offensive to Pookie because I know he's gone. I'm not trying to hit him with that. But there are Black people that wouldn't they wouldn't let you date their daughters. They go to knife and fork school. Like, do you know what knife and fork school? Are you aware of like Black people in the South or in the Midwest? Are you aware? Did you go to a debutante ball? Have you ever been to that?
Not,
Okay,
no.
so there are Black business owners, right, all throughout the South. Atlanta was a big city of debutante balls and things like that. You want to talk about legacies? HBCUs have legacies. Black fraternities have legacies. Things like Prince Hall and Eastern Star, all of these organizations. I'm just saying that there's a group of people who are a professional working class, and a lot of those people happen to be big business people as well. And I'm just saying that they want people to present themselves in a certain way.
But
and
those
there
are
are people.
I just wanted to make this point. I don't disagree with you, but that's why there is a difference in like classes or socioeconomic status. I get that, right? But when you narrow it down to like the way people speak, maybe because I'm from New York and from what I've heard of you're familiar with New York, right? So
Me?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and for me,
wait, hold on. Let me just make my point. So for me, I know people who own several stores who barely speak English, like have a Jamaican accent, and they have several employees. Right, we can barely understand them.
Yeah,
I know several Asians who barely speak English, but they run shit. Trinidadian people, Haitian people who are highly successful, high earners, and don't speak that well. So I mean.
Okay,
I get
Venus,
you.
Well, most
hold
on a second.
So Venus, we can always
no, hold on a second. Yeah, Jay Bizzle. We can always. There are people in the middle of in a Brazilian favela who are making money. That's exactly what New York is, a favela. Everybody from let me finish. Everybody from New York, most of them are living hand to mouth. Most of them don't own an automobile. Most of them don't own a home. Most of them cannot afford to live. Most of them spend their money on fake Gucci belts from Canal Street, and most of them are not progressive. Most people from New York. Most people from New York have been living. You don't see Puerto Ricans working on Wall Street. It's like very rare. Very rare.
Wait, hold on.
Very rare.
Let's not make the focus New York, right? Wait, Venus.
Most people are in poverty there.
Okay, hold up. The focus. Let's not make the focus New York, right? Because there's a bigger point to be made. Venus, did you see, for example, the video where Anton show where this guy came on Anton's show and he had the locks, right? And then after that, he cut his shit off. Did you see those videos? Okay, well, you should watch those videos, right? And I can tell you right now that there's certain people that even in my own network, right? That if this brother was looking for something for a position or whatnot, that the way he looked before, I would not feel, and I'm not saying that because I have anything against it. I just would not feel comfortable, putting him in front of those people. But
I'm not against
the fact,
assimilation. I get it.
Listen. After the fact, I'll like immediately I'll be thinking, okay, I could link him up with this person, with this person, with this person. The thing is, again, the point is less about, oh, you got an accident. The point is that why die on that hill? right? That's ultimately what I'm getting at, is that a lot of black folks like to die on a hill, right? And then you watch, and then while you watch every other community, they assimilate. They don't sit here and cry like, you know, the Asians understand their names are hard to say, right? So what do they say? They just call themselves Jonathan. They just call themselves, you know, James. You think that Asian, that Chinese guy at your job, his real name is James? You know what I'm saying? No, they change their whole fucking, they change their whole fucking names, right? Because they understand.
That's racist. That's so
most people
racist.
can't say it.
It's the truth, though.
No, it's fact. It's
We
fact.
had no, but how do you say that's racist when certain people had to change their names and weren't given a choice?
Because I mean, why assume that just because they're Asian they have an Asian name? I mean, there's plenty of Asians with
we
normal
talk to
names.
them,
That's
and
the,
then we
that's
know
the that's
it's
the
true,
thing now.
though.
They're being
we
born with
know.
normal names.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're
Even
admitting
the
that America.
Nigerians-
I'm glad that
even
you're
the
admitting American
Nigerians,
names
right?
are normal. I like that.
Bro, I see this with the Nigerians all the time, right? They will either change their name a bit, or they will like give you an abbreviation of it, right? And they do this, and I've seen this in corporate, right? It'll be some long ass name, and it'll be like, yeah, my name is Ugo. My name is Hugo, or whatever. They will shorten that shit, right? All the people who are successful, right, who are chasing success, who are trying to make sure that they reach a certain level, they assimilate. But black people always want to die on this hill. Well, I don't want to change this. Why do I got to change this? Why do I got to do that? And then you cry racism, not you, Venus, but you cry racism when all the other groups, they could do the same shit. They could say, well, they discriminate against us. Instead, they're just like, nah, we gonna run this bag up, right? And then we can run our own shit and then make our own rules.
So I'm not against assimilation.
You need to change.
My question was just
you need to change the name of your channel to Fox News, Doc, because we going there.
Might as well. But Venus, I'm just being honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I go to a place like New York, and I don't get mad at, America's not supposed to look like that. It's like not. Well, New York is everything wrong with, and I'm just going to say this, I don't want to get cut off. It's everything wrong with immigration, right? There's all these people living next to each other that shouldn't live next to each other. And then y'all don't even like each other. Like Jamaicans living next to Indians living next to Haitians. You see somebody get stabbed on the subway, you walk right over them. That just shows what happens when you funnel a bunch of people in a place where everything is so expensive, nobody can afford to live. Somebody's living on the top of you, somebody's living on the bottom of you. You're just another number.
I mean, I don't think everybody hates each other.
Are you serious? Oh, so you're not known as being. So New York is
Eric,
a place
be
where people
quiet.
are
We
kind to each
people,
other?
dog. We people. Yes, we are. We're people.
It's a place where you people. You speak to somebody.
You're saying the caricature of New York, my nigga.
That's the truth.
Yeah, that's not.
He's
that's
saying
not,
the caricature. He looks at. You look at too much TV.
That's a perspective.
I've been there. What are you talking about? I rode the train and see people beat up because they said accused me the wrong way.
That's because you.
I didn't get beat up. No, y'all soft. Ain't a single one of y'all over 5'2". So stop.
All right, Eric.
So stop.
Eric.
Yeah, you need to drink some milk because y'all frail as
okay. Oh, we're not doing this. I can't do this with you.
The thing
hold
about
on, Eric. Hold on, Eric. I can't do this with you. You gotta relax, doggy. You ain't even built like that. Have fun, make your jokes. You're not built like that. Let's save this for Fight Club. Let's have a conversation now, though.
Hey, Pookie,
let's have a conversation now, though.
Go ahead.
Hey, Pookie, you from the hood?
From New York.
You from the hood?
No,
Pookie?
no. I'm from the suburbs. Nigga, I'm from Long Island.
No, I just
Venus will tell you. Venus will tell you how Brooklyn niggas look at Long Island.
He was on the third season of Money and Violence.
I just wanted to hear Eric say I'm from the hood.
No. Venus will tell you how Brooklyn niggas look at Long Island.
He went to every Labor Day parade.
Venus?
I mean,
Can you explain?
I mean, Pookie, you don't need to like qualify anything.
Yeah,
like,
okay, cool. You right.
Pookie's favorite dish is a chopped cheese.
Pookie, where in Long Island you from? I got family in Baldwin.
Yeah, yo. See, that's close to where I'm from. So you know, you know what? I give you like 1% more respect, nigga, just because you know where that's at, Jay Bizzle. Okay, I'm right next. I'm not far from Baldwin, dog.
I'll be in that shithole in October.
Just yo.
I'll be there. We'll be there in October. We'll be there in October.
Hey, I'm gonna say this to Jonathan. Just ask your family in Baldwin what's the most ghettoest town right next to him, and you don't know where I'm from.
Damn.
That's how
I'm from.
How you identify it.
No. Because I know they will say. I know the answer to what they will say.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And that's not no. I'm not trying to big that shit up, nigga. I hated that shit. And if I really want to say it, fuck it. I'm from Roosevelt. If you know niggas from Baldwin, you know niggas from Roosevelt. My school district
Don't
was the
dox
only.
yourself on here.
I don't gotta. Yo. See. It don't even.
Don't dox yourself, Pookie, and there's no need to, because we've reached the end of the Aaron O Show. I appreciate you guys coming out, but I've had enough. I'm not able to sustain anymore. I've delayed what the inevitable as long as I could. It is what it is. I appreciate you for showing up. I'm going to go back to the drawing boards and I'm going to get back to work. So I will see you guys on the next show.